Chapter 721 The Secret of the Star Core. Hearing this, Yi Junlin was enlightened. All he needed to do was to make the Kunlun world monks realize that their interests would not be harmed, so that they would be able to look at the monks from the holy world in a friendly way. Combined with increasing ideological propaganda and strengthening the threat posed by external forces to the Kunlun world, they would feel that the joining of the holy world monks was a good thing and that they could fight against enemies outside the domain together. In this way, cohesion would be greatly enhanced, and the grudges between the two sides would be easily resolved. Thank you for the advice from Taoist Fuyao, but I have a question: how to expand the resources of the Kunlun world? Yi Junlin said. The amount of resources produced within a world depends on the level of the world. At present, the Kunlun world is only a small holy Tao world and has not yet entered a medium-sized holy Tao world. I am afraid it will be difficult to achieve rational distribution and realize a virtuous cycle. Once the holy world monks come, it will inevitably increase the burden on the Kunlun world, just like a jar that cannot hold so much water. If you want to hold more water, the container must become larger. Let me ask you, have you obtained the star core of the holy realm before? Asked Empress Fuyao. The star core is indeed in my hand. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand, and a round object similar to a crystal appeared in his hand, emitting a relatively weak light. Its appearance seemed to make the rules of the holy Tao between heaven and earth active, like boiling water at high temperature. Star cores are very precious. They are the core that keeps a world running. The energy contained in them is very huge and relatively modeled, so almost no cultivators will use them for cultivation because the gains do not outweigh the losses. They are generally used to drive warships, or sacrificed to other star cores as nutrients. In our ancient times, weak planets were often destroyed, and the star cores among them would be auctioned and flow into the hands of some big figures, so many big forces are eager for star cores. The level of star cores depends on the development potential of a world. As far as I know, there are primary star cores, intermediate star cores, advanced star cores, ancient star cores, immortal star cores, and eternal star cores. The Fuyao Empress said loudly. Hearing this, Yi Junlin's expression moved slightly. This was the first time he heard about the doorway of star cores. Then what level is my star core from the holy realm? Empress Fuyao took a look and looked a little strange. What a pity, this is still a high-level star core, but the internal energy is so scarce. I am very curious about what it has experienced before. Then, Yi Junlin told Empress Fuyao about the whole story of Yu Washeng absorbing and refining the star core, which shocked Empress Fuyao. In this world, there are actually people who can use star cores to practice. My Kunlun realm is indeed full of geniuses. If this boy doesn't die, his future height is limitless. Empress Fuyao gave a high evaluation of Yu Washeng. Yi Junlin did not refute it. After all, this was a strong enemy that posed a huge threat to him. It was a pity that he met a cheating existence like him in the end. But there is one thing, he also made Yu Washeng successful. If he hadn't killed people in front, could Yu Washeng have repeatedly picked up leaks and developed secretly at the fastest speed? So, success and failure are also in him. In the dark, everything is predetermined. Dao Yu Fuyao, according to what you said before, you want me to transfer the energy of this star core to the star core of Kunlun realm. Then can the star core of Kunlun realm withstand it? Yi Junlin said. Empress Fuyao said in a deep voice. Dao Yu Yi, you should know that Kunlun realm was able to become the second largest world in the divine court, and the star core played a vital role. Its level is the highest eternal level. As soon as this was said, Yi Junlin was very surprised. He didn't expect that the star core of Kunlun realm would be so high. Originally, if my Kunlun realm developed normally, it could have always stood at the top of the universe and would never lag behind this era. However, among the four of us, there was a shameful traitor who polluted the star core of Kunlun realm and made my Kunlun realm fall to the bottom from then on. As if recalling the past, Empress Fuyao's eyes burst out with extreme coldness, her long black hair fluttered like a waterfall, and her whole body was filled with a monstrous murderous aura. For a moment, the sky and the earth changed color, and the sun and the moon lost their light. Yi Junlin understood clearly in his heart that the person mentioned by Empress Fuyao was Luan, one of the four masters of Kunlun realm back then. It was he who personally ruined the future of the vast number of creatures in Kunlun realm and made Kunlun realm a laughingstock of the entire universe. He was an out-and-out sinner who was to be nailed to the pillar of shame. Sorry, I lost my composure. Empress Fuyao realized that her reaction was a bit extreme, and quickly adjusted her breathing. The momentum on her body quickly converged, and the sky returned to normal again. I can understand. Yi Junlin nodded. If there hadn't been that accident back then, Kunlun realm would have been one of the top worlds in the universe by now, so why would it have suffered so many years of humiliation? Empress Fuyao's words were full of deep hatred for Luan. If everything went normally, with her qualifications and understanding, she would have been a saint by now. Yi Junlin could understand the feelings of the Empress Fuyao, but he also couldn't understand why Luan betrayed Kunlun realm and chose to join Juyu's camp. What conditions did Juyu offer that made Luan willing to betray Kunlun realm and do such a thing? Until now, this has been a mystery that has troubled countless people. In that case, I will first sacrifice the star core of the Holy Realm to the star core of the Kunlun realm to further improve the environment of the Kunlun realm. Yi Junlin made up his mind and set about doing this. Soon, with the successful sacrifice of the star core of the Holy Realm, the energy contained in the star core of the Kunlun realm also expanded, which had a certain promoting effect on the birth of resources for the entire world in the future. Then, Yi Junlin implemented the second strategy of the Fuyao Empress, ordering the Holy Alliance to increase the propaganda of external threats, so that the monks of the Kunlun realm would have a sense of crisis and feel that the joining of the monks of the Holy Realm is a good thing. Before long, this aspect of propaganda was everywhere, and behind it was the huge organization of the Holy Alliance pushing it. Have you heard that the powerful enemies outside the domain are eyeing our Kunlun realm? I guess the war is about to start again. In fact, in this case, it is not a bad thing for those Saint Realm monks to come here. At least they will fight the enemy together with us. It seems so. We share happiness and difficulties together. The effect of the propaganda has begun to show, and the direction of public opinion has changed. It took almost a year for all the Saint Realm creatures to be teleported to the Kunlun realm. Under the guidance of the Holy Alliance, they ruled the land in accordance with the rules and tried to adapt to the new life here. In the process, the Saint Realm monks thought they would encounter many obstacles, such as being rejected and hostile by the Kunlun realm monks. As a result, after staying here for almost a year, they found that it was not as serious as they thought. Unconsciously, their sense of belonging has also become stronger. This place is good. It will be the territory of our eternal holy sect in the future. In the south region, in the newly established sect, Luo Qingwu said with satisfaction. Tang Yaoyao said excitedly, I don't know if people here like to read novels. I can publish my latest novel. This way, her fan base can be expanded again. Eastern region. A group of figures gathered there. Now, the Holy Realm is an empty shell. All living creatures have moved to the Kunlun realm, and Lu Wangshu and others naturally followed. When they returned to the Kunlun realm, Lu Wangshu and other older generations were very excited and had infinite emotions in their hearts. The most important thing is that when they saw that Empress Fuyao was still alive, the shock they brought to them was no less than when they heard the news of Empress Fuyao's death. Chapter 722 Chiba, date me. My Lady Empress, I am so happy to see you are still alive. Lu Wangshu said with tears in his eyes. He respected Empress Fuyao from the bottom of his heart. Empress Fuyao looked at the former formation master, her expression was a little moved, and she sighed. Master Lu, you have aged a lot after so many years. You have been very worried about the revival of Kunlun realm. She was still used to calling Lu Wangshu Master Lu, which was also a kind of respect. Alas, I was just messing around. Yi Xiaoyu played a big role in Kunlun realm's development today. He established the Heaven Court and led us to win several victories, which made the outside forces dare not look down on us. Lu Wangshu said with a wry smile. Empress Fuyao sighed. Friend Yi Daoyu is a peerless hero. It is a blessing for Kunlun realm to have him. After greeting Empress Fuyao, Lu Wangshu went to see the creatures in the courtyard of the former Immortal Island. According to the previous seal, the strength of all living creatures would have been able to escape long ago, but they did not leave, but fulfilled their duties and continued to fulfill their promises. Seeing Lu Wangshu, the former island owner, they were very excited and couldn't help crying. We are here to see Lu Taishang. Everyone, please stand up quickly. Lu Wangshu said hurriedly. Emperor Lu said in a complicated tone. Lu Taishang, we have not forgotten your instructions, but from the current situation, the successor you chose no longer needs us. His strength is far beyond our imagination. Under normal circumstances, they will become a great help to the successor, not only to protect but also to cultivate. As a result, the successor made rapid progress, and when they met again, they were no longer on the same level as them. What kind of monster is this? Lu Wangshu understood the feelings of Emperor Lu and others very well, because he had been shocked by Yi Junlin more than once, and often lamented that this guy's qualifications were terrifying. Actually, this is also a good thing. I had already anticipated the worst situation at that time. As for the future, you can go wherever you want, and I will give you freedom. The debt you owed me back then is cleared, Lu Wangshu said solemnly. After saying that, he turned and left. The souls felt empty inside, not knowing whether to be happy or sad. On the way, Lu Wangshu saw a familiar dwarf figure, that was the Yin Emperor who he had sealed at the bottom of the well. When Yin Emperor saw Lu Wangshu, he seemed to remember the previous festival, snorted coldly and turned his head, pretending not to see it. Lu Wangshu laughed, "Oh, the frog at the bottom of the well is out, how do you feel?" Hearing this, as if the pain point in his heart was poked, Yin Emperor instantly became angry. "Lu, don't think I can't deal with you." Lu Wangshu shrugged, "I advise you to be polite to me. I am now the second in command of the heavenly court. You should know what this means." The Yin Emperor was stunned and gnashed his teeth with hatred, "You are so cruel." After saying this, he flashed away. Damn, if you can't afford to provoke, you can't afford to hide. On the other side, in the grove, Long Aoshin mustered up the courage to find Hong Chenny, the woman he had always thought about. Hong Chenny squinted and said, "What are you doing here?" Long Aoshin was a little nervous and said with a stiff face, "Chenny, I have made rapid progress in recent years. I have broken through to become a saint a while ago. Now I am a true saint." Hong Chenny didn't understand and frowned, "Then what?" "Then, what I want to say is that I think with my current identity, I should be qualified to be with you. Please give me a chance." Long Aoshin took a deep breath and said seriously. As soon as these words came out, the air seemed to freeze. "You, what did you say?" Hong Chenny gritted her teeth, and goosebumps appeared all over her body. Long Aoshin thought that he had not expressed himself clearly enough, and immediately said seriously, "I said, I want to date you officially." "Get lost," Hong Chenny said angrily, "are you crazy? I'm a man, a man." Long Aoshin was stunned, and then said with an ugly face, "I can understand, are you rejecting me in disguise? In order to reject me, you deliberately made up such a poor excuse, there is no need." He has his own set of judgment criteria, and once he is determined, he will not change easily with his character. Therefore, when Hong Chenny revealed her gender, Long Aoshin did not believe it at all, and only thought that Hong Chenny was rejecting him in disguise. Hong Chenny was so angry that she laughed, "Haha, believe it or not, I can't take it out and show it to you right away, right?" Long Aoshin's face was gloomy, "Chenny, I have good looks and strength, how can I not be worthy of you? During this period, I have been instructed by the Empress, and I am no longer the same as before. There is no limit to my future achievements. You can refuse me, but you can't humiliate me in this way." Hearing this, Hong Chenny's eyes flashed, and he sneered, "You mean, you are very strong now?" "That's right." Long Aoshin couldn't help but straighten his chest. He felt very good about himself after breaking through to become a saint. "Okay, then let's have a fight." Hong Chenny had long been intolerable to this idiot, and he had to take this opportunity to beat him up and vent his anger. "Haha, it's time." Long Aoshin also wanted to show his strength in front of his beloved woman, so Hong Chenny's invitation to fight was just what he wanted. In an instant, the two sides broke out into a war, all the way to the 9 heavens. After a few hours, a blackened figure with billowing black smoke fell from a height of 1,000,000 meters, and landed heavily on the ground, creating a huge mushroom cloud. Boom! The holy mountain was shaking violently, and the birds and beasts were scattered. In the broken pit, Long Aoshin vomited blood, half of his dragon horn was broken, and his skin and flesh were torn apart, which was very miserable. He didn't expect that he would be defeated so thoroughly. A gorgeous red figure floated down, looking down at Long Aoshin lying in the pit, with a complicated look in his eyes. Although he won this battle, he had the advantage of cultivation, because unlike Long Aoshin's True Saint level 1, he was already True Saint level 10. With such a big difference in cultivation, it would be strange if he didn't win by relying on the Flame Saint body. However, the opponent was also unexpectedly strong. Even with such a disadvantage in cultivation, he could still fight back and forth with him, and finally lost. "The weak are not worthy to stand with me," Hong Chenny said coldly, and then turned and left. He hoped to use this to strike a blow to Long Aoshin's mentality, so that he would have a certain fear of him and face reality. In the big pit, Long Aoshin's mouth was full of blood, and he lay there motionless. Seemingly hit, his eyes became brighter and brighter, and he murmured, "I understand, Chenny wants a man stronger than her. She is hinting that I can only have a chance to date her if I defeat her. In that case, I will work hard." Chapter 723, A Shocking Conspiracy. Hong Chenny never expected that Long Aoshan not only did not get hit and retreated despite the difficulties, but actually became more and more courageous after this incident. Northern Territory. After the Tengu clan migrated collectively to a fertile land, they rested here. A slim woman with bright eyes and white teeth sighed. Brother, this place is better than the environment we stayed in before. Hey, this is called surviving a catastrophe, and you will be blessed later. A strong, wild and vigorous young man with disheveled hair said with a bright smile, showing his white teeth. His name was Go Ziqing, and he was the one who took Yi Junlin and others to the land of the Tengu tribe, thus changing the fate of the Tengu tribe's demise. Now many years have passed, and he has grown into a young man. His cultivation is at the level of the Immortal Emperor. He is the strongest fighting force in the entire Tengu clan and is also the new clan leader. The woman who spoke just now is his sister Go Chenny, who is known as the brightest pearl in the Tengu clan, and countless young talents admire her. Go Ziqing pondered. But I heard from the old clan leader that our Tengu clan itself came from the Kunlun realm, and now we can be considered as returning to our ancestral planet. Brother, look, there is a strange old man watching us from a distance. Go Chenny looked surprised and stretched out his finger. Go Ziqing's eyes narrowed and he looked in the direction and found an old man wearing a dark yellow Taoist robe and holding a fly whisk, looking like a human and a dog, looking at them with a complicated expression. I feel a familiar bloodline from this old man. Could it be that he is also a member of the Tengu clan? Go Ziqing thought of a possibility, breathed a little quickly, and cautiously raised his hands. Dare I ask this senior, is he the ancestor of our Tengu clan? That old man was just being stubborn. After he learned that the Tengu clan had settled here, he couldn't bear the longing in his heart and set off to visit. At this time, he was recognized by the juniors. He pretended to be calm and walked over, his clothes were fluttering, and his temperament was free and easy. It's me. Sure enough. Go Ziqing was shocked. My younger sister Go Chenny covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes showing disbelief. They have grown up listening to the legends within the clan. They know that the glory of the Tengu clan was created by an ancestor. Now that this ancestor is right in front of them, how can they not be shocked? Seeing the reaction of the two brothers and sisters, Go ignored his heart and said, "Little boys, I will protect you from now on and ensure that you are safe and sound. Why don't you take me in and sit down with you?" Now that Empress Fuyao has reappeared, he can once again dominate the world, and the Tengu clan will be glorious again. Ancestor, please come inside. Go Ziqing said excitedly. Subsequently, upon learning that their ancestor had returned, the Tengu clan became excited. Zongyu, Yin-Yang Holy Land, brother, I miss you so much. Ji Bashao said with tears in his eyes. After many years, he is already the holy master of Yin-Yang Holy Land. It's just that under his leadership, the style of the Yin and Yang Holy Land has undergone a drastic change. The apparently serious Yin and Yang magic has directly turned into various astringent contents related to men and women. After being bombarded with countless yellow wastes, even the monks with strong willpower will lose their composure on the spot. This resulted in the Yin-Yang Holy Land being the dominant one in the central region. There were no opponents willing to fight and everyone avoided it. Ji Bashao simply single-handedly lowered the lower limit of Yin-Yang Holy Land, but also raised the status of Yin-Yang Holy Land. Now, Ji Bashao was extremely happy to see his former eldest brother come to visit him. Second brother, eldest brother came to see how you are doing. Li Wuji said with a smile. I'm living a good life. No one dares to bully me. Ji Bashao pulled Li Wuji inside and excitedly talked about the interesting things that happened over the years. Laughter came from time to time, full of joy. For more than a year, the creatures of the holy world were distributed in the 5 major areas of Kunlun realm, taking root and living here. Because the previous publicity work was done well, the monks in Kunlun realm are generally less resistant. In addition, the resources for the birth of Kunlun realm are more than before, and the relationship between the two parties is at a relatively calm point. I believe that over time, the creatures of the holy world will be completely integrated into the big family of Kunlun world, and there will be no outsiders left. As for the heavenly court, it is established on the 9 heavens in the eastern region. The Holy Alliance was incorporated into the independent department of Heavenly Court and was commanded by Yi Junlin, the supreme leader. Temple of Heavenly Emperor. After listening to everyone's recent reports, Yi Junlin, who was sitting on the throne, was very satisfied. Congratulations to the Emperor of Heaven, the Great Migration Plan has been successfully completed. What a joy! Lu Wangshu and the others laughed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the mission. The reward is to upgrade the Invincible Sword Heart to the Eternal Sword Heart. The system prompt sounds. In an instant, a mysterious aura appeared on Yi Junline's body, and there was an eternal and immortal sword charm. Everyone was shocked and didn't know why. Did the Emperor of Heaven have an epiphany? Eternal sword heart, got it. Yi Junline said secretly. With the eternal sword heart, he can at least beat himself 10 times ago. This is the difference. At the same time, the changes in the holy world also surprised the forces outside the territory. They sent spies to try to sneak in to check, and were shocked to find that the world had long been exhausted, without any living beings, like a Death Star. When I heard the news, the starry sky was shaken. The previously prestigious holy world perished quietly. What exactly happened? Just as public opinion was arousing, a major statement was issued from the Kunlun realm. Due to special circumstances, there will be no more holy world in the future, and all living beings have been transferred to the Kunlun world. Many monks outside the territory were surprised. They knew it was from heaven. In other words, all the monks in the holy world have integrated into the Kunlun world, and the current holy world is just an empty shell. In this way, the strength of Kunlun realm will be stronger. Isn't that right? With Heavenly Court always in charge of the Kunlun realm cannot be penetrated by ordinary forces. You know, the Kunlun world was the second largest world in the Divine Court at that time. With the Holy World monks led by the Holy Court joining in, this wave is simply more powerful than a tiger. It is estimated that we will really reach the top again in the future. Once the Kunlun realm flourishes, the universe may have to be reshuffled. There are a lot of discussions in various parts of the starry sky, and they all feel that the momentum of the Kunlun realm is very strong, and there are signs of returning to the glory of the past. Holy Martial Arts World, the top of a magnificent ancient holy mountain. Panlong Martial Saint stood with his hands behind his back, his body filled with endless terrifying blood. His deep eyes looked at the starry sky, with a hint of reminiscence, and murmured. Kunlun realm, his thoughts stretched, as if he had returned to the distant ancient times. He still remembered that time when he came to Kunlun realm with awe and met Emperor Tian, one of the 4 wonders in Kunlun realm. At that time, he could not afford to kneel outside the palace just to get some advice from Tian. In the end, Tian was willing to give him some pointers, and it was the original teaching that opened his horizons and embarked on a brand new path of body training. Panlong Martial Saint has a special feeling for Tian, or for Kunlun realm. He does not think that the dark history of the past is a shame. On the contrary, he is grateful to himself for being shameless and humbly asking for advice at that time. Dignity, face, and vanity are all thrown away, just to become stronger single-mindedly. Shang Jiba, the disciple is here. Shang Jiba stood respectfully behind him. Due to his relationship with the Lord of Heaven, he was cared for and promoted by Panlong Martial Saint, and various cultivation resources were also focused on. His talent was also good, and he was very confident in breaking through from the true saint to the realm of Heavenly Saint. You go to the Kunlun realm to investigate. You must report the situation truthfully to me. If the momentum of Kunlun realm is really that good, we in the Holy Martial realm can establish a cooperative relationship with it. Panlong Martial Saint saw further and felt the need to place a bet in advance. Yes, Master. Shang Jiba was overjoyed and said quickly. He also wanted to meet his friend and catch up on old times. After making full preparations, Shang Jiba set foot on the ancient starry sky road to Kunlun realm. Little did I know. Because of his relationship with Yi Junline, he has been targeted by a supreme and terrifying existence. Shang Jiba still does not know that he is about to become the most critical chess piece and the victim of this conspiracy. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 724 The Sao family wants pills. Black and White World. This holy Tao world, which ranks high in the Divine Court, is said to have several Saint King level masters, each of whom is of great origin and has a great reputation. Among them, the ancestor of the Sao family is a veteran Saint King level master, and is the living fossil that enables the Sao family to dominate the Black and White world. At this time, the ancestor of the Sao family, who was supposed to be sleeping in the ancestral land, was startled by a woman. The purple-clothed woman had disheveled hair, blood on the corners of her mouth, and a look of grief and anger in her eyes. She held an ancient holy weapon and rushed into the ancestral land regardless of everything. Boom! The ancestral land erupted with huge fluctuations. The ancient holy weapon was smashed into pieces. An old voice with a sense of shock and anger came from the depths of the ancestral land like an old lion, shaking the entire Sao family territory. Who dares to disturb my deep sleep? An old man with white hair, wrinkled skin like dry bark, and a gloomy look in cloth stepped out from the depths of the ancestral land. When he appeared in the sky, the vast Saint King level pressure surged and spread, pressing many Sao family cultivators to breathe and kneel on the ground. Please, ancestor, make the decision for me. The purple-clothed woman knelt on her knees and cried. Well, aren't you Luo Zan, Sao Fengnian's first wife? Recognizing this woman's identity, the ancestor of the Sao family was very surprised. He vaguely remembered that the current head of the Sao family married the saint of the Immortal Mountain, which could be regarded as a strong combination in an immortal couple. But he didn't expect that the other party would attack his ancestral land regardless of the consequences, just to redress his grievances. Why is this? How did my Sao family let her down? Ancestor, I was wrong for letting this bitch disturb your rest. Suddenly, another regretful middle-aged voice sounded. The head of the family, Sao Fengnian, stared at his former wife angrily. He did not expect that this woman had such a strong personality and actually reported this matter to the ancestor. It is worth noting that he looked very thin, with dark circles under his eyes, and his body looked seriously damaged. Ancestor, you can't imagine how ridiculous what is happening in the Sao family now. This is a humiliation for me and the entire Sao family. I was really forced to disturb you. I hope you can do justice and get everything back on track. Luo Zan cried with red and swollen eyes, and said excitedly. The ancestor of the Sao family had a gloomy face. Luo Zan, if it is as serious as you said, I will never ignore it. Ancestor, don't believe her. She is spreading rumors to confuse the public. Sao Fengnian's eyes flashed with a trace of panic, and he hurriedly said. Shut up. The ancestor of the Sao family saw the clues and scolded. Puff! Sao Fengnian was blown away by a force of energy, spitting blood. Luo Zan, just say it, no one dares to touch you with me here. The ancestor of the Sao family looked at the purple-clothed woman and said in a calm tone. Seeing this, Luo Zan felt a little safe in her heart, and told everything that had happened during this period. The ancestor of the Sao family listened quietly, and then his face became more and more ugly, and his eyes showed deep shock and anger. He didn't expect that this matter was so outrageous. According to Luo Zan, the cause was that one of her youngest sons brought back a woman from outside, and the two were in love with each other. Later, the woman hooked up with the other brothers of the youngest son, and even the eldest son of the Sao family was fascinated and fell at her feet. This is not over yet. When the scandal was exposed, her husband Sao Fengnian felt that it was too outrageous, so he ordered people to expel the woman from the Sao family and deal with her secretly. As a result, this decision was unanimously opposed by the men of the Sao family. Sao Fengnian was furious and went over to kill the vixen who had brought disaster to the Sao family. Unexpectedly, an outrageous thing happened. After seeing the witch, her husband Sao Fengnian was reluctant to kill her and lied to her that he had killed her on the spot. In fact, he had already hidden a beautiful woman in a golden house and was lingering with the witch in the gentle countryside. Later, Luo Zan felt that her husband was more and more strange and alienated from her, so she had the idea of following her and discovered the affair of this couple. Imagine that a vixen who came from nowhere not only fascinated her sons, but also seduced her husband away in the end. If it were any woman, she would feel devastated, right? So, at that time, Luo Zan was in great grief and could not accept this outrageous fact. She really couldn't figure out what kind of magic this witch had that even her children and husband fell. Luo Zan was so angry that she was about to kill the witch, but she was stopped by her husband Sao Fengnian and they started fighting. The couple who had a good relationship turned against each other. Luo Zan, who was injured, couldn't swallow this breath, so she came up with a crazy and bold idea. That is to forcibly wake up the ancestor who was sleeping in the ancestral land. Let him set things right and uphold justice. I hope the ancestor will make the decision for me. Luo Zan burst into tears. After hearing all this, the eyes of the ancestor of the Sao family almost burst into anger, like an angry old lion, exuding a terrifying aura that shook people's hearts. He was very disappointed with the men of the Sao family, and a deep anger. Even if he was greedy for beauty, it shouldn't be like this, right? From the son to the father, they were all fascinated by a woman, and they didn't hesitate to turn their relatives against each other and kill each other. It's simply, Luo Zan, you did the right thing. My Sao family will never be destroyed by a witch. I will kill this woman and end this farce. The ancestor of the Sao family said in a deep voice. Ancestor, don't do that. Immortal Peach Blossom is innocent. Cao Fengnian was furious when he heard it and shouted hurriedly. Little did he know that this move angered the ancestor of the Cao family even more. Asshole, wait until I kill that witch, then I will deal with your problem. The ancestor of the Cao family waved his hand in disgust, and the head of the family, Cao Fengnian, was knocked out again, vomiting blood and falling to the ground. Immortal Peach Blossom, go quickly. His eyes were full of despair, as if he was about to lose his beloved woman, and his heart was pierced by a knife. Ancestor, please come this way. Luo Zan's eyes flashed with hatred, and he couldn't wait to take the ancestor of the Cao family to kill the witch. It is because of the other party's existence that the Cao family has been in such a mess. This is the root of all the troubles and must be resolved quickly. Chapter 725 Bo Chengli's Counterattack. I want to see what kind of woman can be so obsessed with my Cao family man. The ancestor of the Cao family said coldly. Far away in a courtyard. A voluptuous woman wearing a cool pink gauze lay lazily on a chair, crossing her legs in a leisurely and elegant manner. The snow-white jade feet are as crystal clear as jade, and the delicate toes are exposed in the air, exuding a charming fragrance. She has a charming face and a vixen-like eye that seems to be electric all the time. Who would have thought that she was a man before? Peach Blossom Immortal, please leave here quickly. My mother has awakened the ancestor and exposed this matter. Once the ancestor takes action, not even my father can save you. The 8 sons of the Cao family stayed aside and said anxiously. Bo Chengli rolled his eyes and didn't take it seriously at all. Before, she even hooked up with Cao Fengnian, the head of the Cao family, and used the yin and yang siphoning skills to crazily absorb essence to improve her cultivation. Now she is an ancient saint, and even men at the Saint King level will be affected by her skills, so there is no fear at all that the ancestors of the Cao family will come to raise an army and question the crime. After all, she climbed up step by step and got to this level by sleeping with men. Her mentality is already extraordinary. You are afraid, but I am not. Within the field of vision, this charming woman twisted her waist, picked up the teacup and blew gently, taking a coquettish sip of tea, which made all the Cao family men's eyes widen. Suddenly, the sky was filled with dark clouds, and 2 figures appeared in a flash. Ancestor, it's this witch who is causing trouble. Luo Zan stared at the woman in cool pink clothes lying on the chair. The hatred in her eyes was almost as real as she wanted to chop her into pieces immediately and feed her to the dog. It was because of this woman that the Cao family was in chaos and she broke up with her husband. Is it her? The ancestor of the Cao family cast his cold gaze on the pink-clothed woman, frowned slightly, and felt an inexplicable strange feeling in his heart. It's strange that although this woman is very attractive, he has never seen any kind of women when he was young, and there are not many women who are prettier than this woman. Why is it that now that he is at his age, he still has that kind of desire at a glance? Feeling. It's like you are walking in the desert, tired and thirsty, and suddenly encounter a ripe and full unknown fruit. You know that there will be danger, but you are forced to quench your thirst due to physical impulse. This is how the ancestor of the Cao family feels at this time. He didn't know why he was impulsive towards this woman, and this impulsiveness was getting stronger and stronger inside, making him very tormented. Witch, you're dead, Luo Zan sneered. Mom, you shouldn't do this, Peach Blossom Immortal is innocent. The 8 sons of the Cao family shouted one after another. They were completely obsessed with it and unknowingly became Bo Chengli's slaves. Yua. Seeing that her children were still speaking for this witch, Luo Zan was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Bo Chengli said playfully, I can't die because this old man is unwilling to kill me. Luo Zan was stunned, as if she had heard some big joke. Stop your vixen tricks. Do you think the dignified ancestor of the Cao family will also be greedy for your body? Yeah, Bo Chengli looked meaningfully at the ancestor of the Cao family. In the eyes of the ancestor of the Cao family, the woman in pink gave him a flirtatious look. For a moment, he felt like it was directly hitting his soul. Desire that had been sealed for a long time was like a flood that opened and swept through his body. Hiss. The mentality of the ancestor of the Cao family is changing rapidly, and his eyes have become different. Sensing something was wrong with the old man, Luo Zan's heart skipped a beat, and she had an inexplicable foreboding feeling. She gritted her teeth, quickly burned the essence and blood in her body, took out 12 holy swords, and set up a sword formation to kill Bo Chengli, even if she had to pay a huge price this time. Go to hell, bitch. Suddenly, a terrifying sword formation enveloped him. Be bold, the ancestor of the Cao family shouted angrily and raised his hand to smash it into pieces. Ancestor, why are you? Luo Zan spat out blood, her face full of disbelief. The ancestor of the Sao family looked gloomy. Did I ask you to kill her? Luo Zan felt as if she was struck by lightning and said incoherently, yes, but you clearly. Old senior, you are so powerful. The slave family will be yours from now on. Bo Chengli came to the ancestor of the Sao family, took his skinny hand and said softly. Although the ancestor of the Sao family is older and looks like a grandfather, she was brutally tortured in Longyang Pavilion of the fire worship demon sect. What kind of man has not experienced this? The ability to bear has long since become extremely powerful. What's more, the other party is a Saint King level powerhouse. This is a big fat sheep. She can't wait to have more like this. Even if you are old and ugly, it doesn't matter. The ancestor of the Sao family was breathing rapidly, touching the charming face of the pink-clothed woman, swallowing saliva with a rumble in his throat, and a flash of red heat flashed through his cloudy eyes. Okay, very good, you are simply the best gift God has given me. At this time, Luo Zan was the most confused and the most scared. Her sons, including her husband, were all fascinated by this enchantress. They thought that inviting the ancestors of the Sao family out would end this farce, but in the end, even the ancestors of the Sao family fell. As a woman, she really couldn't figure out what kind of magic power this seductress had that could make men want to stop after just one look at her. Crazy, all crazy, ha ha ha, you are all crazy, ah. In this situation, Luo Zan completely collapsed and howled like a groundhog. It's so noisy, why don't you let her shut up forever? Bo Chengli raised a sarcastic arc at the corner of his mouth. Okay, invisibly, the mind of the Sao family ancestor was affected, and he immediately met Bo Chengli's request. He raised his hand with a cold face and grabbed it fiercely. Ah, the screams stopped abruptly, and Luo Zan was grabbed and exploded directly in midair, turning into a ball of blood mist and drifting away. Mother! The 8 sons of the Sao family shouted in grief, and a strong sadness emerged in their hearts. This was their instinctive reaction. This immortal, I can't wait to be alone with you. The ancestor of the Sao family had long forgotten the family concept, and now he just wanted to quench his thirst. I can't wait. Then, under the dull gaze of the Sao family men, the Sao family ancestor took their peach blossom immortal away, leaving only a mess for them to clean up. No one expected that the black and white world would soon welcome a new Saint King, and this Saint King level powerhouse would bring a great disaster to the universe in the future. Chapter 726 The Conspiracy Unfolds. After a while, a young man in a purple robe, with a majestic demeanor, rode a sacred beast with wings on its back, a dragon head and a lion body, and shuttled through the vast universe. This person is Shang Jiba. This time, he was ordered by his master to go to Kunlun realm to check the situation. If the feedback is good after returning, Panlong Wusheng, who dominates the Holy Martial Realm, will consider establishing diplomatic relations with Kunlun realm. Looking at the spectacular starry sky, passing by the familiar dead planet, Shang Jiba, sitting on the back of the sacred beast, showed some reminiscence in his eyes. The first time he met Yi Junlin was in this world. At that time, he was full of vigor and thought he was the pride of the world. As a result, he met a real super genius here. Or, it can be said that, a demon. Now, after several years, the identities of the two have been very different, which made Shang Jiba couldn't help but feel a sense of emotion in his heart. Compared with fellow Taoist Yi, I now seem mediocre. Shang Jiba smiled bitterly. Although he was a disciple valued by Panlong Wusheng, which was a prominent status in other places, and he was young and promising, and was the best partner in the minds of countless female cultivators, he was like a pearl against the bright moon when compared with the super genius who was qualified to enter the supreme list. He was overestimating his own abilities. Roar! Suddenly, a black hole-like vortex appeared on the left side of Shang Jiba, and a starry sky beast that looked like a crocodile and covered with metal-like scales emerged from it, opening its bloody mouth and biting him. Not good. Shang Jiba was startled and leapt up from the holy beast with all his strength. Poor him, the holy beast was swallowed by the bloody mouth in fear. With the creepy chewing sound, the holy beast completely became the food in the stomach of the starry sky beast. Shang Jiba's scalp was numb, and his hair stood on end. He stared at the behemoth that emerged from the black hole in fear. Those fierce and cruel eyes stared at him intently. This is a starry sky predator. Shang Jiba looked grim. In this vast universe, in addition to the starry sky storms that appear at fixed times, there are also starry sky predators that are frightening and elusive. Starry sky predators are not classified as monsters. They are unique beasts. The earliest batch can even be traced back to the mythological era that is older than the ancient times. They are full of killing in their minds. They have no so-called rules of conduct. No one can tame them. They grow very fast, can adapt to the environment to a great extent, have the special ability to shuttle through space, and appear and disappear. No matter what race, they are their predatory targets. Therefore, they are recognized enemies of all races in the starry sky. The universe once set off a wave of killing starry sky predators. But every time they ended in failure and could not be completely exterminated. The reason is very simple. Star predators can reproduce by themselves. They don't need conventional male-female mating. They will only reproduce 3 times in their lifetime, but they will produce a large number of cubs each time. Perhaps it is the instinct of genes. Even if they are thrown into the most desolate areas, these cubs can be self-reliant and grow quickly without cultivation. In addition to the unique ability to shuttle through the void, they can travel the universe with ease. Even if they are shouted and beaten by everyone, they can continue their bloodline to the present. Over time, both the Divine Court and the 9 Netherworld can only accept the fact that star predators exist. Fortunately, star predators can only grow to the ancient saint realm at most, otherwise it will be a disaster for the vast number of creatures in the universe. In a specific ancient starry road, star predators generally do not appear, because the space of the entire road is blocked, and star predators cannot attack the monks on the road by shuttling through space. But unfortunately, in order to take a shortcut to reach Kunlun realm quickly, Shangjiba stepped out of the safe zone, which gave the star predator an opportunity to take advantage of him. The most fatal thing is that this star predator has already reached its final growth, that is, the top ancient saint realm. Roar! The star predator raised its ferocious and huge crocodile head, with densely packed sharp teeth and smelly saliva. Its body was covered with metallic black scales, flashing black light like the reflection of cold iron, its limbs were strong and powerful, and its claws could easily crush a star. In front of it, Shangjiba was as small as dust, and the warm breath he spurted out was like a red-hot storm. It was not that Shangjiba did not think about escaping, but in terms of speed, it was undoubtedly an unrealistic joke to want to get rid of a top star predator. Am I going to be buried in the belly of this beast? Shangjiba was very unwilling and had endless regrets in his heart. He hadn't really realized his ambitions, hadn't reached the pinnacle of the holy path, and it was going to end so dramatically. Roar! The starry sky predator opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the tiny figure. Evil beast, I'll fight you. The murderous aura was overwhelming, and Shangjiba knew that he would die, but he still gritted his teeth and raised a long halberd, choosing to fight for his life. At this moment, there were slight ripples above his head, and an invisible and mysterious force descended on Shangjiba. In an instant, Shangjiba's eyes were like ink, and there was no white in his eyes, which was extremely weird and terrifying. It happened that he had already swung the long halberd and chopped it out, and suddenly there was a power that far exceeded his own realm, even the realm of the Holy King. Swish! This starry sky predator was pierced through the head by this powerful blade in the eyes of horror, and its huge body was split into 2. The majestic blood floated in the space, and the scene was very spectacular. The top starry sky predator, the existence that countless ancient saints had to worry about, was killed in one move. After Shangjiba swung the long halberd, his eyes were dark, his head was lowered and quietly suspended, like a piece of wood, motionless, which made people feel horrified. After a few seconds, his eyes became clear again. When he looked up and saw the body cut into 2 pieces in front of him, his first reaction was absolutely shocking. What's going on? Shangjiba said in shock. He took a look at the long halberd in his hand, and then carefully checked the holy power reserve in his body, and found that it was no less than before, which showed that this starry sky predator was not killed by his power. The strangest thing is that as the person involved, he has no memory of how this starry sky predator died. He didn't even blink. How did this monster get killed? Shangjiba felt that this was very strange, but he was indeed out of danger and safe. Could it be that the master in the holy martial realm did it? Combined with the current situation, Shangjiba thought hard and finally came up with this possibility. Although it was incredible that he could do this at such a long distance, as a small heavenly saint, he could not figure out the means of the holy ancestor realm. Therefore, Shangjiba had to attribute this starry sky predator to the killing of his master Panlong Wusheng. Thinking of this, Shangjiba bowed from a distance in the direction of the holy martial realm and said respectfully, "Disciple thanks the master for helping me." After that, he rushed towards the Kunlun realm. What he didn't know was that even the great saint ancestor realm could not achieve that step just now. Instead, he had to be far above the saint ancestor realm. At this time, Shangjiba had not yet realized that he had been possessed by a mysterious force, which was parasitic on him and following him to the Kunlun realm. Chapter 727, Stop Bragging. 1 month later, Shang Jiba arrived at Kunlun realm smoothly. When he felt the active holy energy between heaven and earth, a look of surprise appeared on his face. Although it is still far inferior to the large holy world like Shengwu realm, it is also a top small holy world. This made Shang Jiba more certain that Kunlun realm has great potential to catch up with the forefront of the times. By the way, where should the heavenly court go? Shang Jiba's eyes flashed. He came to Kunlun realm on the surface to investigate, but in fact he wanted to find old friends to reminisce and keep in touch. He. Suddenly, with a piercing and sharp strange laugh, a dwarf figure dressed in a dark style appeared in front of him. This person is the Yin Emperor. Who are you? Shang Jiba's face was strange. This little thing looks so unique. I should ask you this question, right? As an outsider, what is your intention to sneak into my Kunlun realm? Yin Emperor's eyes flashed with a wise light, and sneered. I am Shang Jiba, from the Holy Martial Realm. This time I have come to visit the Lord of Heaven. After saying that, Shang Jiba added seriously, I knew him before and we are friends. Please show me the way. Thank you. Result. The Yin Emperor looked at him as if he was a mentally retarded person, and sneered, what a joke. You can meet the Lord of Heaven whenever you want. And we are friends. Why don't you say that he drank with him and boasted about it? Shang Jiba was stunned, frowned and thought for a moment, it is true. I brought the wine that time, and he basically drank it all. The Yin Emperor was stunned, and said, you are really shameless. You can even say such nonsense. Shang Jiba was speechless, but this is the fact. The Yin Emperor sneered, come on, an outsider like you, this I have seen a lot of them during this period. If everyone wants to see the Lord of Heaven, what will happen? Quote. That's true. Shang Jiba expressed his understanding and said seriously, but I am different, because as long as you report my name, the Lord of Heaven will definitely see you. Bah! The Yin Emperor spit fiercely and said contemptuously, who are you? You really think you have a lot of face? I think you are here to make trouble. In fact, the reason why he was so active in intercepting outsiders was not to verify information, but to rob tolls. During this period, many cultivators from outside the domain visited Kunlun realm, representing their own forces behind them, and came to explore the reality of Kunlun realm. Because of the previous turmoil and the reputation of heaven, they did not dare to do anything weird in various places. The clever Yin Emperor smelled a business opportunity, and relying on his status as a backbone of the heavenly court, he secretly approached those Saint Realm powerhouses outside the domain, asking for benefits one by one, and using various threats, coercion and inducement. On the one hand, those powerhouses outside the domain were forced by the deterrence of the heavenly court, and on the other hand, in order to deeply explore the details of the Kunlun realm, they did not have the courage to tear their faces, so they had to swallow their anger and spend money to avoid disaster. Therefore, during this period, the Yin Emperor made a lot of money by extorting money from the cultivators outside the domain and filling his pockets. Now, seeing Shang Jiba coming to the Kunlun realm, the Yin Emperor wanted to use the same trick again, scare him, and then get some benefits. Who knew? This outsider was even thicker than him, and he boasted loudly. He just came and said he wanted to see the Lord of the Heavenly Court, and said he had drunk with the Lord of the Heavenly Court. This made the Yin Emperor extremely unhappy. In his life, the man he admired the most was that man, and he would never allow outsiders to make random connections. Originally, Yin Di was thinking of extorting the other party and collecting some tolls, but now he changed his mind and prepared to teach this ignorant liar a lesson. My fellow Taoist, if you don't want to lead the way, forget it, I'll find it myself. Seeing that Yin Di was obviously hostile, Shang Jiba didn't want to make things complicated, so he planned to use his spiritual sense to sweep and slowly find it. Humph, want to escape? Yin Di's eyes burst into a brilliant light, and his whole body released a surging momentum, and he stretched out his palm to slap the other party. The vast black palm covered the sky and contained a majestic Yin Sha power. The breath it exuded froze every inch of the void along the way. You dare! Seeing that the other party actually attacked him, Shang Jiba's heart was aroused with anger, and purple holy patterns covered his arms, and he punched away. Boom! The black palm was shattered by a punch, and the sky was like a black snow, and the scene was particularly strange. Yin Di was shocked by the strong aftermath and his mouth was bleeding. His eyes showed a deep fear, so you are a master of the heavenly saint level. The biggest difference between heavenly saint and ancient saint is whether there is a holy mark. The function of the holy mark is to enhance the ability unilaterally. The most basic is the local holy mark, and the latter is the whole body holy mark, which improves the three aspects of attack, defense and speed together. You attacked me first, I just passively counterattacked. Shang Jiba's eyes flashed with a strange color. Under normal circumstances, his angry punch should be able to beat a true saint to a life or death. Unexpectedly, the other party was only slightly injured. It seems that this person is not simple. Okay, I can't beat you. You have an advantage in cultivation, but this is Kunlun realm, and you can't run wild here. Yindi said angrily. Immediately, he pinched his fingers with one hand and released a bright light ball at the top of his head. After the light ball exploded, it rippled with strange energy fluctuations. Could this be? Shang Jiba was shocked and doubtful, feeling vaguely like a storm was coming. After a while, two figures came towards this side. They are Li Wuji and Hong Chenny. The spell that Yin Emperor used just now is a brand new way of communication in heaven, which is limited to high-level people. Anyone who notices the fluctuation of this magic should rush to help as soon as possible. And it just so happened that Li Wuji and Hong Chenny were the closest. They were originally competing with each other, but sensing this fluctuation, they temporarily called a truce and came to check the situation. Emperor Yin naturally knew these two people. They were both disciples of the Lord of Heaven, with extremely high status. He quickly changed his face to a respectful one. Boy, it's a good thing you're here. Li Wuji held the knife in his hand and said with a fierce attitude, you'd better be in trouble, otherwise I'll be the one to kill you. Emperor Yin's scalp was numb and he quickly said, there was an outsider who sneaked into Kunlun realm and I caught him. Because he had the upper hand in cultivation, I couldn't capture him, so I wanted to ask you two to help. Oh yes. Well, he also insulted the Lord of Heaven and threatened that the Lord of Heaven must look after him. Quote. As soon as these words came out, the temperature of the air suddenly dropped to the extreme. Li Wuji and Hong Chenny had murderous secrets on their faces, and stared at Shang Jiba with hostile eyes. Dare to be disrespectful to master, this has violated their common bottom line. You're talking nonsense. Shang Jiba was shocked and angry. At this moment, being stared at by two people at the same time, he felt an inexplicable biting chill on his back, and his spine went crazy. You are looking for death. Li Wuji angrily swung the black sword, his body was as fast as thunder, and he slashed out with terrifying force. Kill. At the same time, Hong Chenny was surrounded by endless holy fire, swooping down like a flaming phoenix. This is a misunderstanding, I am not a spy. I am here to visit the Lord of Heaven. Cold sweat broke out on Shang Jiba's forehead, and he defended loudly while resisting with all his strength. Obviously these two are in the realm of true saints, but the power they give him is the same as that of a heavenly saint. Boom! A great battle broke out in the sky. Shang Jiba felt a huge pressure. Although he had just entered the heavenly saint realm, he was still a disciple valued by the Panlong martial saint. He had mastered several special skills. If he used them all, his combat effectiveness would be extremely amazing. However, facing the joint attack of Li Wuji and Hong Chenny, Shang Jiba suddenly felt like he was stuck in a quagmire. It's not relaxing at all, but it's extremely strenuous. What's going on with these two guys? Shang Jiba was simply paralyzed. After all, he was a genius in the holy martial arts world and had an advantage in cultivation. As a result, under the attack of two true saints, the fight was very difficult and embarrassing. In the Kunlun world, could it be that there are really outstanding people, and anyone you meet is a monster-level genius? Poor Shang Jiba never expected that he would be so lucky that he would meet two of Yi Junline's apprentices. When Emperor Yin saw that it was stable, he was very excited. As expected, they are the two most valued disciples of the Lord of Heaven, and their strength is indeed terrifying. This guy is quite capable. He was able to persist for such a long time with the two of us working together. Li Wuji's face was solemn. So what, he must be splashed with blood today. Hong Chenny said coldly. Haha, in that case, let's see who can do it first. Li Wuji's interest soared when he said this. Oh, then try it. As soon as she heard about the competition, Hong Chenny's damn desire to win immediately came up. After saying that, the two of them activated the crazy bloodline and the other activated the flame holy body, and their own combat power soared crazily. In an instant, Shang Jiba felt so stressed that he could hardly breathe. He could never have imagined that the strength of these two people was so terrifying. They were simply the strongest true saints he had ever seen in his life. If one of them was singled out, he could defeat most of the heavenly saints. If this continues, he will probably be killed by these two people. Boom! There was a huge explosion. Shang Jiba flew backwards in a miserable state and crashed into a sacred mountain. He was sunk in a crater with blood on the corner of his mouth. I'll take his life. Li Wuji held a black knife in his hand, his eyes were blood red, and he was surrounded by endless evil aura. Hong Chenny was surrounded by fire dragons and fierce phoenixes. The dragons and phoenixes roared together, and the momentum was unprecedentedly powerful. A pair of beautiful red and phoenix eyes stared at the figure in the pit, with murderous intent, and said in a cold voice, "Don't take my head." Quote. At this time, Shang Jiba felt that life and death were uncertain, and his heart was very bitter. What is this? You haven't even seen Taoist Yi with your own eyes, so you're going to die in such a daze. Just when Hong Chenny and Li Wuji were about to launch another offensive. Suddenly, Shang Jiba's body trembled, and he lowered his head weakly, his eyes gradually becoming as dark as ink. A voice that no one could hear slowly sounded in his body, cold and cold with a hint of anger, "Two mere ants dare to destroy my plan and seek death." Chapter 728, Deeply Memorable. The next second, an urgent rebuke sounded, "Stop it." Everyone looked over and saw that it was Lu Wangshu who brought Tong Wudi and the others. Lu Wangshu looked grim. He received a report from a subordinate in the Heavenly Palace, claiming that a war broke out in the southern region. Because he was worried, he led a team to check it out. As a result, he saw a man being beaten so badly. The key is that he was very familiar with this man. It was Shang Jiba who visited the Immortal world for the first time before. Lu Wangshu still had a good impression of this young man who knew etiquette. He remembered that when the Immortal world was in a difficult period, a group of semi-saints came to show off their power and made him feel ashamed. Fortunately, Shang Jiba stood up to rescue him, which saved him from a series of greater troubles. Therefore, Lu Wangshu had a very good impression of this person and admired him very much. As a result, when they met again, he saw that the other party was beaten up, which made Lu Wangshu feel bad. "What are you doing? Why did you attack fellow Taoist Shang?" Lu Wangshu said angrily. Li Wuji and Hong Chenny were stunned and looked at each other. It seems that the other party is not an enemy. Didn't they misunderstand? The Yin Emperor, who was watching the show on the side, felt something was wrong and said with a stiff upper lip, "Report to Lu Taisheng, this guy is a spy sent by an outside force. After being caught by me, he still brazenly claimed that even the Lord of Heaven had to give him face. No matter what, let's stabilize it first." Lu Wangshu was furious after hearing this. "You bastard, I knew him a long time ago, and he is also a good friend of the Emperor of Heaven. We drank together. Do you know what this means?" "Fuck." The Yin Emperor was like being struck by thunder, his head was buzzing, and his eyes showed disbelief. Thinking of what the other party said before, everything is true. This guy is really a friend of the Lord of Heaven. We drank together and boasted together before. Then he still didn't know what was good for him and framed the other party. What's the difference between that and courting death? Thinking of this, Yin Di trembled with fear, and a piercing chill ran up his spine to the top of his head, and his scalp almost exploded. He didn't even dare to imagine what his fate would be. Not only was Yin Di dumbfounded, but Hong Chenny and Li Wuji were also confused. Is it really a misunderstanding? This is a mess. When they thought of attacking their master's good friend, they both felt like they were in big trouble. "Yin Di, you dare to hurt us?" Li Wuji turned his spearhead and gritted his teeth in anger. Hong Chenny's eyes almost burst with anger, staring at the dwarf figure, and said coldly, "Because of your misjudgment, we were dragged into the water by you. How are you going to explain now?" Being locked by two murderous eyes, Yin Di, who was already uneasy, collapsed instantly. He was like a child who had done something wrong. He wanted to cry but had no tears, hesitating and unable to speak. "We'll deal with your problem later." Lu Wangshu shook his head and focused on the man. He looked at Shang Jiba and asked with concern, "Fellow Taoist Shang, are you okay?" Seeing this, the darkness in Shang Jiba's eyes quickly faded, and he regained his clarity. The terrifying aura that was about to escape from his body also disappeared, as if the strange changes just now had never happened. At this time, Shang Jiba had not yet realized what had happened to his body. He just looked up and saw a group of figures at the scene. The person in the lead was very familiar. He was the highest authority in the Immortal Court before. "Are you fellow Taoist Lu?" "Yes, it's me. I'm so sorry, it was all a misunderstanding just now, I hope you don't mind." Lu Wangshu said apologetically. "Fellow Taoist, I'm really sorry." Hong Chenny and Li Wuji bowed their heads and said with guilt, "It's okay, just treat it as an impromptu exchange." Shang Jiba nodded. He was broad-minded and didn't care about this. Mainly, he also felt very embarrassed. He was a disciple of Panlong Wusheng, a dignified Tiansheng, and was beaten into this state by two true saints. It was really embarrassing and a disgrace to the master. Let me introduce them. These two are disciples of the Emperor of Heaven and the top generals of our heavenly court. Lu Wangshu felt that it was necessary to make it clear. Hearing this, Shang Jiba was stunned and couldn't help showing a relieved smile. So that's the case, no wonder. He thought that just meeting two Kunlun realm cultivators would be a super genius who could crush him. It turned out that the background behind them was so great. Since they were the disciples of that man, everything made sense. In this way, he felt much better, otherwise he would be depressed after returning. Friend Shang, please come this way, I will take you to see the Emperor of Heaven. Lu Wangshu said seriously. In general, he still respectfully addressed Yi Junlin as the Heavenly Emperor. After all, from another perspective, the other party was his immediate superior. In fact, this is easy to understand. Even if you have a good relationship with your leader, you can call him by his name in private, but you have to restrain yourself in a department. This is the rule, and it is also to maintain the dignity of the leader. As the former top manager, Lu Wangshu was naturally very clear about this. Thank you for leading the way. Shang Jiba was overjoyed and didn't care about the pain in his body. Along the way, Yin Di was at the end of the team, with his head drooping, his face full of anxiety and fear. Every minute and every second was a torment for him. And Lu Wangshu didn't know that because he arrived in time to eliminate the misunderstanding, he also saved the lives of Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji. Heaven. The clouds are misty and the auspicious air is steaming. Lu Wangshu came to an elegant attic, raised his hands and asked for instructions. To the Emperor of Heaven, there is an old friend who wants to meet you. Oh, above the attic, a tall figure appeared in front of the railing. He was dressed in an elegant black robe embroidered with gold dragon patterns. Countless silver hairs were scattered like flowing clouds. Each hair was shining brightly, and his handsome face was as beautiful as nature's. Incredible workmanship, very three-dimensional. When this silver-haired young man who looked like a celestial being appeared, even the rules of the holy way in heaven and earth were boiling with excitement. Fellow Taoist Yi, do you still remember me? Shang Jiba was shocked and asked tentatively. After all, the gap between the two sides is now so big that he has developed a feeling of inferiority and is deeply afraid that there is a gap between the other party. So in order to avoid embarrassment, Shang Jiba planned to test his attitude first. If Yi Junlin said he didn't know him, he could borrow a donkey to go downhill and turn around and leave. Yi Junlin was stunned, pointed at the other person and said in surprise, You are the same one from before. Such a strange name, of course he remembered it clearly. Yes, it's me, I'm Jiba. Shang Jiba smiled happily, and the nervousness and anxiety in front of him disappeared, replaced by a sense of joy. It seems that fellow Taoist Yi still recognizes me. Chapter 729 Who are you? Yi Junlin was naturally impressed by such a strange name. He was also a little surprised to see the other party arriving at this time. Wait a minute, you don't look like you're in good condition. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Because, Shang Jiba looked embarrassed. Do I have to say that I was beaten up by two of your good apprentices before? Master, it was us who made the mistake first, please forgive me. Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji looked at each other and quickly admitted their mistakes. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Yi Junlin looked surprised and cast a questioning look at Lu Wangshu, who was accompanying him. Lu Wangshu said with a sneer, this is actually what happened. Then, he explained clearly what happened. To put it bluntly, the culprit is Yin Emperor. To this, Yi Junlin naturally had no good expression and scolded, Xiaoyan, what crime do you deserve? Emperor Yin was already scared. When he heard the man's voice of accountability, his tense heartstrings broke instantly. He immediately fell to his knees, kowtowed and begged for mercy. Emperor Heaven, it was the young one who made the big mistake, but he had good intentions at first and wanted to protect your Supreme Majesty. Unexpectedly, the flood washed away the Dragon King Temple, which led to the misunderstanding. I hope you will let me go. Next time, I will keep my eyes peeled and won't make such a stupid mistake again. Yi Junlin looked at Shang Jiba and said seriously, fellow Taoist Shang, how do you think we should deal with him? Shang Jiba smiled bitterly and said, forget it, this is just a misunderstanding. Yi Junlin said, Shang Dao is friendly and generous, but as the culprit, I think the punishment is indispensable, so I will seal his cultivation and go to the horse ranch to clean up the excrement for a month. The horse ranch in heaven raises the finest Pegasus, which are the flying mounts that the heavenly soldiers rely on. Because they eat a lot and pull a lot, regular cleaning is necessary. If you have cultivation, any true immortal can easily handle it, but if your cultivation is sealed and equal to that of a mortal, it will be a very painful and dirty job. When Emperor Yin heard this, his face turned pale, and he was filled with a lot of reluctance. Doing this kind of work in his capacity was simply a suffering, but at the moment there was only one way, and he had to do it. Hey, Ida's only 1 month, so bear with it. Thank God for your mercy. Afterwards, Yin Emperor was sealed and cultivated by Yi Junlin with a snap of his fingers, and was taken to the racecourse by a group of heavenly soldiers with a mournful face. As for you two, don't be so impulsive next time. Yi Junlin looked at Hong Chenny and Li Wuji who were causing trouble, waved his hands and said angrily. Yes, master. The two of them were relieved and hurriedly held their hands. It's great to be exempted from punishment. They don't want to be like Yin Emperor, who seals his cultivation and goes to the racecourse to clean up the excrement. Shang Jiba sighed in his heart, these two disciples of fellow Taoist Yi are really monsters, and their future prospects are limitless. Since there's nothing else going on, let's take our leave first. Knowing that the two of them were going to reminisce about old times, Lu Huang said in an unfamiliar tone. Afterwards, everyone retreated respectfully. Fellow Taoist Shang, please come up and tell me that I have prepared the finest holy wine. You invited me for the previous meal. This time, I will do it for you. Yi Junlin greeted with a smile. Okay, Shang Jiba jumped up and reached the top floor of the attic. The two sat on the floor across the table. Putting 2 large bowls on the table, Yi Junlin took out a jar of high-quality holy wine given by the system sign-in, neatly opened the seal, slowly filled the holy wine, and said. Fellow Taoist Shang came here this time not just to reminisce with me. Shang Jiba coughed a few times and said, Fellow Taoist Yi is right. The main reason why I came here was because of the instructions from my master Panlong Wusheng. He wanted to find out how the Kunlun world is developing at this stage. If the situation is good, he will consider representing the Shengwu community and establishing a follow-up cooperative relationship with the Kunlun community. Oh, Yi Junlin's eyes flashed, it's a pity that your master didn't choose to come in person. He had heard before that the other party's master had been promoted to the Saint Ancestor realm. If he could visit the Kunlun realm, he would not miss this opportunity to practice his cultivation in the Saint Ancestor realm. When these words fell into Shang Jiba's ears, they had another meaning. Fellow Taoist Yi, are you blaming my master for not paying enough attention? Shang Jiba said secretly with a flash of embarrassment in his eyes. In order to avoid misunderstanding, he quickly added, don't worry, fellow Taoist Yi, I will give you a good feedback on the situation in Kunlun realm after I return. When the time is right, the master will choose a day to visit in person. Yi Junlin nodded, okay, we'll talk about this later. Come on, let's drink first. At this time, the air was already filled with a strong aroma of wine, and Shang Jiba seemed to feel slightly tipsy just by smelling it. He took a closer look and saw that the wine in this bowl was very strange. There were actually 2 black and white dragon-shaped holy energies swirling around, which was awe-inspiring. This wine is completely different from the last time I drank it. Shang Jiba sighed. It's all wine anyway, for drinking, please. Yi Junlin picked up the big bowl and said with a smile. Then I'd rather be respectful than obey your orders. Shang Jiba couldn't wait to try it and took a sip. At that time, he was in the realm of semi-saint, and it would be very difficult for him to drink the real holy wine. Now that he is a heavenly saint, it would be easier to drink this kind of holy wine. As a result, when the wine was poured into his throat almost exploded, and the blood in his body was boiling crazily. An indescribable feeling rushed straight to the Tianling cap, and it seemed that even his soul was trembling. I'll go. Shang Jiba's face turned red and he gritted his teeth. Yi Junlin drank the bowl of wine directly, with a look of enjoyment on his face. Looking at the man in purple across from him, who looked constipated, he was a little confused and puzzled. Fellow Taoist Shang, is there something wrong with this wine? As Yi Junlin's cultivation has been upgraded to the Saint King realm, the rewards given by the system for signing in are basically at this level. This means that this altar of holy wine is at least for Saint King level figures to drink. Therefore, given that Shang Jiba, a mere heavenly sage, dares to drink the wine specially provided for the Holy King, it's strange that he does not feel uncomfortable the first time. No, Shang Jiba was a tough talker, and it took him a lot of effort to calm down. Looking at the bowl of wine in front of him with 70% of the wine left, he suddenly felt a little scared. One thing to say is that this wine is really strong. Fortunately, he only drank a small sip at a time. If he drank a large bowl, his liver and intestines would be broken, and his blood vessels would burst on the spot. He really didn't expect that the long-lost feeling would come back. It was like a boomerang, hitting him hard again. Only this time, it hurt even more than last time. Is this wine really not what you like? But this is already the best wine I can offer. Seeing Shang Jiba's embarrassed look, Yi Junlin felt a little depressed. Just when Shang Jiba didn't want to be embarrassed and lost, and was about to go all out to drink up the bowl of wine, his consciousness was suddenly cut off, his body shook violently, and then he drank the bowl of holy wine in front of Yi Junlin's surprised eyes. The wine was drained. When he raised his head again, he saw his eyes as dark as ink and a strange smile on his face. This wine tastes good. For a moment, Yi Junlin felt like the hairs on his body were standing on end, as if he was being targeted by some kind of terrifying existence. Looking at the suddenly unfamiliar young man in purple in front of him, Yi Junlin immediately realized that something was wrong. His eyes suddenly turned cold, staring at the other person with great vigilance. Who are you? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 730 Chessboard and Chess Pieces. The mysterious man was a little surprised to see that the silver-haired young man did not show a particularly panicked reaction and questioned him with a calm look. With your current status, you are not worthy of knowing my origin. There was a hint of arrogance in the mysterious man's tone, as if that was the case. Yi Junlin smiled. So far, those who dare to be so crazy in front of him have not been able to assemble a complete body after death. You are possessing my friend. You are obviously here to see me. How can a rat who hides his head and shows his tail have the qualifications to say such big words? Yi Junlin said, and continued to pour the wine and drink, as if he didn't take the other party seriously. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding temperature dropped sharply to freezing point. The mysterious man stared at Yi Junlin with cold eyes. How noble is his status? Looking at the entire universe, there is only one person who can compare with him. Other than that, they are all ants. Now, being mocked as a rat by an ant, how could he not feel angry? After a while, the mysterious man's eyes returned to normal, his face was calm, and he said calmly, I don't need to prove anything to an ant like you. There are naturally unspeakable reasons behind why I use this body to see you. Yi Junlin drank a bowl of holy wine and sneered, don't put gold on your face. In fact, you are afraid that your whereabouts will be exposed, so you came to see me secretly in this way. Let me guess, what can you do? The person you are so afraid of must also be a powerful being. The corner of the mysterious man's mouth twitched. These words hit the nail on the head, leaving him unable to refute. After all, with his status, if he really wanted to harm Yi Junlin, it would be easy to just move his fingers and destroy this troubled world. But he didn't, for a simple reason. Once he takes action, he will be noticed and stopped immediately, which will lead to a greater conflict. At least so far, he is not sure of winning. Therefore, this is the only last resort. Tisk, I was really right. Yi Junlin said contemptuously. A guy with unknown origins met him in such a shady way and dared to show off in front of him. It was simply ridiculous. Mysterious man, being said like this, I always feel very humiliated. Okay, tell me your purpose. Yi Junlin tapped his fingers on the table, looked directly at Shang Jiba, in front of him, and said without any stage fright. The mysterious man sneered, haha, there are only two roads before you now. The first one is to destroy the star core of Kunlun realm and join Juyu. I will keep you safe. The second rule is, death. His words were all irresistible and overbearing. Yi Junlin's eyes burst into light. He had made a guess at first, but now it was confirmed that the other party was a super boss in Juyu realm. At least those in the Saint Ancestor realm. After all, the realm of the Holy King alone cannot bring him such a sense of oppression. Let me destroy the star core of Kunlun realm and join you Juyu. This is simply a big joke. Yi Junlin sneered. Could it be that you succeeded in instigating rebellion back then and thought you could repeat your old tricks? The reason why Kunlun realm declined back then was that it was caused by chaos, one of the four ultimates. He polluted the star core of Kunlun realm and took refuge in the embrace of Juyu. Now, someone actually wants to use the same method to instigate him. Haha, you are talking about him. He is fine now, and he and another guy are firmly standing in our Juyu camp. The corner of the mysterious man's mouth raised a meaningful smile. Another guy. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and there was a name in his heart that was about to come out. Anyway, you have to do it, and you will know later that you did the right thing. If not, it's a dead end. Having said this, the mysterious man's body surged with flaming black energy, as if he was about to turn into the source of disaster and devour all life. Yi Junlin sneered and said, "Do you think I will believe this kind of deception to a 3-year-old child? You dare to threaten me? If you have the guts, just try it. Don't say that you are sneaking around and possessing my friend. Even if you're come here in person, I can beat you up with my fists. If you don't care about life and death, do it if you don't accept it. What's more, I will become stronger when I encounter strength." Seeing that the silver-haired young man was so impressive and powerful, the mysterious man's face darkened. From the moment they met, he failed to achieve the desired effect. The other party seemed not to be afraid of any threats at all, and looked like he was already invincible. In this case, we have no choice but to kill it to avoid future troubles. You ant, how can you imagine that I use the universe as a chessboard and all living beings as pawns, just to take care of the overall situation? And it is your great honor to be an important chess piece on this chessboard. But as a result, you want to ruin this chess game. As the chess player, I have no choice but to destroy you. Quote. The cold and indifferent voice contained monstrous murderous intent, echoing continuously in the attic, deafening. What a bullshit chessboard piece. I wish the world, everyone is like a dragon. Yi Junlin stood up, a powerful aura erupted from his body, his eyes were as golden as the sun, and his long silver hair was fluttering. His voice was so vast that it shook the entire heaven. For a moment, everyone in the heaven was shocked, wondering what happened. Everyone is like a dragon. Ridiculous. The mysterious man suppressed the trembling in his heart, raised his hand with a cold face and grabbed Yi Junlin. His big hand was as black as ink, revealing a terrifying aura that could annihilate everything. Ding, it is detected that the host is attacked by an enemy of the 8th level of the Holy King. Now the passive effect of getting stronger when encountering a strong enemy is triggered, and the cultivation of the 9th level of the Holy King is obtained. The system prompt sounded. At this moment, Yi Junlin's cultivation level was upgraded from the 1st level of the Holy King to the 9th level of the Holy King. This is a big leap, and the increase in strength is huge. Boom! In an instant, the palms collided, and the energy fluctuations released directly turned the attic into dust. The aftermath spread violently, and wherever it went, there were shattered buildings, which was extremely destructive. The mysterious man was stunned. The move he had made was blocked by the other party. Yi Junlin's eyes flashed a little strange, and he said with a rather disdainful tone, "You don't seem to be as strong as you look." He thought that the other party could help him break through to the Saint Ancestor realm. In the end, that's it. Hearing this, the mysterious man's face twitched with anger. If he took action in his true body, he could kill all the living creatures in the Kunlun realm with just one finger. But in order not to be noticed by the one in the divine court, he could only extract less than 1/10 of his power and possess this body. I thought he could easily get rid of the target, but he didn't expect the other party's cultivation to be beyond expectations. How long has it been? This person is already a super strong man of the 9th level of the Saint King. At this rate of development, the Saint Ancestor realm is just around the corner. Your growth rate is the fastest I have ever seen, but it's a pity that you are not useful to me and insist on going against me. So, you must die. The mysterious man launched another fierce attack, and a pair of strange eyes appeared behind him. It seemed that some unknown terrifying existence was watching all this, which added a great sense of oppression. Boom 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 boom, the explosions were extremely dense, and the surrounding void was collapsing and disintegrating. Yi Junlin frowned. He was originally worried about whether he would hurt Shangjiba, but now it seems that this is a completely unnecessary idea, because the opponent who was possessed was so powerful that it was outrageous. Even if his cultivation was better than the opponent, he could not completely suppress it, just because the opponent released a very strange energy that could continuously weaken the power of his moves in the battle. In this way, his originally powerful moves would lose more than half of their power when they were played out. The two figures broke out into a fierce battle and quickly rose to the sky above the heaven. This scene shocked all the cultivators in the heavenly court. Who is the heavenly emperor fighting with? There is actually someone in this world who can fight the heavenly emperor. Who is that man? ... Exclamations were heard everywhere, and the heavenly court was in chaos. Lu Wangshu and his companions were the most confused, because that person was Shangjiba, whom they had brought in. Strange, isn't he a friend of the heavenly emperor? Why did they fight for no reason? Are they sparring? No, it looks like they are fighting to the death. Everyone was shocked. Among them, Lu Wangshu was confused after being shocked. When he arrived, he clearly saw that Shangjiba couldn't even beat Yi Junlin's two disciples, so how could he fight Yi Junlin? Hong Chenny and Li Wuji also felt unbelievable. After all, the opponent was difficult for them to deal with, but now he could fight their master on equal terms. The fluctuation of the aura he exuded was far from the level of the previous battle with them. If they had gone up at this time, they would have been killed instantly. What's going on? Was this guy letting us go before? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 731 Spell. Obviously, everyone was incredulous and unfamiliar with Shang Jiba's powerful strength. At this time, the two sides were fighting fiercely, releasing vast energy fluctuations that shook every inch of the void. Rumble. Yi Junlin used the Holy Fighting Fist, and unleashed an unparalleled golden fist light, shattering the space along the way like a huge spiral, and the sound was extremely terrifying. Snort. The mysterious man sneered with his hands, and countless black auras surged around his body, and an abyss-like black light bloomed, wildly devouring the golden fist light. In a moment, the originally powerful golden fist light was greatly weakened, and finally became vulnerable and was forcibly swallowed and turned into nothing. Seeing this situation, Yi Junlin realized how difficult the situation in front of him was. Is there nothing you can do? The mysterious man continued to attack, and when he spread his arms, black skulls with flashing lights flew out from behind, and they swarmed away in dense numbers, and the sound of howling ghosts and wolves filled all directions. Yi Junlin's eyes were cold. The battle has just begun. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and summoned a golden holy sword. With the influx of majestic holy power, the sword body surged with extremely brilliant holy light, reflecting the entire world in a golden light. At the same time, an eternal and immortal sword force was released from Yi Junlin's body, which had a sense that the universe was destroyed but I am immortal, and everything is decaying but I am immortal. This he said. In an instant, the mysterious man's heart trembled. With his top-notch eyesight, he could naturally see how extraordinary Yi Junlin's sword power was. Aha! Yi Junlin swung out his sword, and the golden sword light surged into the sky and the earth, and his aura was misty, as if he was about to realize eternity. Boom boom boom. The black skulls all over the sky were swept away. This is the eternal sword heart. This boy has realized this realm so quickly. Rao is a mysterious person, and it is difficult to remain calm at this moment. Eternal sword heart is the highest level of sword heart. Even in the 9 nether realm, few of him can reach it. The most frightening thing is that the other party is still so young and has huge potential. If he continues to develop at this rate, he might not be able to reach his height one day. This child must not be kept. A fierce light burst out from the eyes of the mysterious man, and he condensed a pair of powerful dark black battle armor on his body. There were 16 pairs of weird wings exuding a rotten atmosphere on his back, and there were green will-o'-the-wisps burning on each shoulder. At this moment, he looks like the king who dominates hell, stepping out of the endless abyss to make this world fall into evil. Hey, can you still transform? Yi Junlin's eyes showed strong interest, holding the human emperor's sword in his hand, with an eternal sword aura about him. With the eternal sword heart activated, he is not afraid of any challenge in this world. Dark Night Galaxy. The mysterious man waved his hand, and the entire sky darkened. The entire Kunlun world was plunged into darkness, and he could not see his fingers. What's going on? Faced with this sudden situation, countless creatures panicked. Suddenly, countless strange stars exuding a dead breath appeared, turning into a vast and boundless galaxy, containing destructive power and covering Yi Junlin. Swish swish swish, Yi Junlin held up his sword and swung it thousands of times. In an instant, countless strange stars exploded into nothingness, and the entire galaxy could not stop his devastating sword power. At the moment when the Dark Night Galaxy collapsed, a terrifying figure like a demon appeared in an instant and struck Yi Junlin with terrifying punches. The Great Void Annihilation Fist. The mysterious man's fist was blazing, as if it could annihilate everything, and even time and space could not withstand its power. Boom, boom, boom. Huge explosions echoed between heaven and earth. The power of his fist moves is extremely terrifying, and he moves very fast, and his movement skills are even more bizarre and unpredictable. It has to be said that the strength displayed by the mysterious man is very strong, and 99% of the Saint King level experts will be defeated by this kind of offensive. It's a pity that Yi Junlin is the only exception, because he has a complete eternal sword heart. This alone is enough to surpass all the holy kings. Wow, I saw vast golden sword energy flying around, tearing apart the night and bringing light to the Kunlun world again. What? The mysterious man is struck by lightning. Immediately afterwards, a silver-haired figure whose whole body was glowing was seen, holding a sword in front of him. Haha, it's time to end. After saying that, Yi Junlin charged up his sword and pierced the air. It seemed that the flow of time had become extremely slow, and the sword light seemed to be able to traverse the long river of history. This change made the mysterious man suddenly feel a strong crisis. Click, 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 click. The mysterious man tried his best to resist, but the black armor covering his whole body was shattering, and strands of black energy were escaping. His face became extremely ugly. Boom. Final. Accompanied by a shocking loud noise. Unable to resist, he flew backwards and smashed down a magnificent palace. There were ruins and thick smoke everywhere. At this time, Shang Jiba was covered in blood and scarred, his eyes were dark and empty, and his expression showed embarrassment. The mysterious man also didn't expect that Yi Junlin was so powerful. Especially having the eternal sword heart is something he cannot handle with this little power. Yi Junlin landed on the ground and walked up to him with his sword in hand. Pointing his sword at the other party, he ordered, "No matter who you are now, get off my friend immediately." The mysterious man's eyes flashed, and he said meaningfully, "Do you really think you have won?" Suddenly, the pair of dark eyes, there are countless strange red runes intertwined, and a piece of obscure spell uttered from his mouth. Suddenly, a 5-pointed star array with a faint green light appeared under his feet, exuding a breath like the opening of the gate of hell. This breath is desperate, cold and dead, and makes people's souls tremble. Yi Junlin was startled, and instinctively dodged away, and appeared outside the array in an instant. Strangely, this 5-pointed star array only lasted for a moment, and then disappeared without a trace. Typical thunder is loud, but the rain is small. Are you kidding me? Yi Junlin felt a little strange, always feeling that the other party had secretly done something, but he didn't know. Don't worry, you will know soon. The mysterious man sneered. Buzz buzz buzz. The next moment, Yi Junlin was shocked to find that his cultivation was rapidly declining, and it was a cliff-like one. From the current Saint King realm, he plummeted all the way to the true Saint realm, and finally completely left the scope of the Saint realm and stopped at the Immortal King realm. In just a few breaths, Yi Junlin fell from a top Saint King to the former Immortal King. The span in between can be said to be extremely huge. Yi Junlin was a little surprised, because this was the first time he had seen such a situation. It turned out that the spell that the other party had just cast could make his cultivation regress significantly. Thinking of that strange formation, Yi Junlin knew that he was hit at that time. This move was sinister enough, it was simply unavoidable. As long as you are in the formation, even if it is only for a moment, you will be affected by the spell. Seeing that the effect was perfectly achieved, the mysterious man showed an expression of success on his face. At the same time, his remaining power was also rapidly dissipating, and he could no longer maintain his possession of this body. This is the double-edged sword brought by this spell. If he cast it at the beginning, he would still be unable to maintain it, because what he wanted was to get rid of Yi Junlin, the threat, rather than keep him to affect the whole situation. The reason for casting this spell is nothing more than that he realized that he was defeated. In this case, he would break the jar and take the last powerful means. Therefore, the mysterious man cast a unique spell to weaken Yi Junlin's cultivation to the realm of the Immortal Emperor. If Yi Junlin had not left decisively, he would have to be further reduced on the basis of this cultivation. Humble ant, now you have fallen into a small immortal king, and years of hard work and efforts have come to nothing. I want to see what you can do in the future to stir up waves in the next fight. The mysterious man sneered repeatedly, feeling that he had let out a bad breath. An immortal king can't play any role in the current situation. In the Holy War, he is not even qualified to be cannon fodder. In this way, without the presence of such a super strong man, the Heavenly Court will not be a big threat. Even because of the lack of a leader, a series of internal conflicts in the Heavenly Court would be triggered, which would accelerate the demise of the Kunlun realm and solve his biggest worry. As for the mortal enemy of the Heavenly Court, he definitely did not expect that he would deceive the world and do such a despicable trick. Thinking of this, the mysterious man was extremely happy and laughed up to the sky. Ha ha ha. Soon, his body trembled, the darkness in his eyes gradually faded, and his eyes turned white, and he fell to the ground limply. Chapter 732 Confused Shang Jiba. Yi Junlin did not expect that this would be the case in the end. From a Saint King, falling to an Immortal King, this experience is very wonderful. If it were someone else, they would have been broken on the spot, kneeling on the ground in despair, screaming in pain, unable to accept this cruel reality. Throughout the universe, Saint Kings are all super overlords, often the rulers of a world. In short, they are powerful beings that all forces dare not offend and must pay great attention to. You must know that for all creatures who enter the realm of Saint King, talent, understanding, perseverance, luck, and resources are indispensable. The whole process is often accompanied by hardships and dangers. If you are not careful, you will fall into the abyss and never recover. This is the true portrayal of becoming a Saint King. Therefore, under normal circumstances, no matter who falls from the Saint King realm to the Immortal King realm, that feeling is no different from falling from heaven to hell, which is definitely more uncomfortable than death. After all, it is difficult to become a saint, and it is even more difficult to become a Saint King. In such a situation, anyone will collapse. But there are exceptions to everything. And Yi Junlin is the only exception. Because his cultivation was all obtained by freeloading, and he relied on constantly bumping into others to improve his cultivation. How could it be said that it was hard? No so-called sunk cost means no psychological burden. That is to say, he doesn't care. Therefore, Yi Junlin didn't feel any heartache for losing a lot of cultivation at the moment. Let alone the realm of the Immortal King, even if he fell into Immortal, what would happen? He can still rely on freeloading to climb up and return to the peak period. This is the confidence of having the characteristic of getting stronger when facing a strong opponent. The most important thing is that Yi Junlin has a trump card, which is the human emperor banner that collects countless soul slaves. There is the strongest soul slave collected a while ago, Yu Washang, who is also in the realm of the Saint King. Yi Junlin only needs to summon Yu Washang and order him to attack him, and he can still trigger the passive effect of getting stronger when facing a strong opponent and return to the realm of the Saint King. However, at that time, he could only reach the 2nd level of Saint King, not the 9th level of Saint King. But for Yi Junlin, there was actually no loss. As his thoughts turned, Yi Junlin, whose cultivation had regressed at this time, began to calm down. It seemed that everything the mysterious man had just done was as ridiculous as acrobatics in his eyes, and had no lethality to him. Who is this guy in Juyu? I must get back at him in the future. Yi Junlin said unhappily. He quietly possessed his friend and made a big fuss in the heavenly palace. Even if he was defeated in the end, he was really disgusted. Emperor of Heaven. Seeing the end of the battle, the uneasy crowd dared to surround him, their eyes showing deep shock, their hearts pounding. This storm came too suddenly, and no one expected such a terrible battle to break out. This is a contest between Saint Kings. Fortunately, it ended with the victory of that man. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lu Wangshu was the first to notice something, and a flash of panic flashed across his face full of disbelief, and a bit of doubt. Because Yi Junlin now gave him a direct impression that he was too weak. In the past, the other party just stood still, which made him feel unfathomable. It was like an ant looking up at the starry sky, not knowing how vast and boundless the starry sky was. However, the first direct impression of Yi Junlin now was that he was as weak as an ant, or even worse, like garbage and not worth mentioning. Anyone here could kill him thousands of times with just a breath. Thinking of what happened before, Lu Wangshu's heart skipped a beat, and he felt that there must be a necessary connection between the two. He did not say it to his face, but anxiously transmitted his voice secretly. Little friend Yi, what happened to your cultivation? Why did you fall to the realm of Immortal King? What did that guy do to you just now? Yi Junlin looked indifferent and responded truthfully, as you can see, my cultivation was cut by him by half. Now I am in the realm of Immortal King, not the realm of Saint King. Hearing this, Lu Wangshu was undoubtedly struck by a bolt from the blue. He staggered and took 2 steps back. His eyes were full of disbelief, and his heart beat like a drum. The Lord of Heaven, the strongest fighting force in Kunlun realm, a peerless giant who dominated the starry sky, was reduced to a small Immortal King by a large amount of Taoism. What a joke. Immortal King, it was okay in the past, but if it is put in now, it is not up to the standard at all. The most important thing is that this person is the Lord of Heaven, and even the Lord of Kunlun who governs the 5 major domains. How can he be worthy of this with just the cultivation of the Immortal King? Moreover, he will face a series of more severe situations in the future. What can he do with the cultivation of the Immortal King? This time, Lu Wangshu was really a little panicked. He knew very well that Yi Junlin's position in everyone's heart was like a Dinghai Shenzhen, standing firm and invincible in the world. Now, without this halo, people's hearts are afraid to be shaken. The high-level officials of the heavenly court present all noticed a clue. They are either semi-saints or saints. They are very sensitive to a creature that does not belong to the holy realm. This feeling is like a wild cat suddenly mixed in a group of tigers, which is extremely conspicuous. When seeing Lu Wangshu's reaction and seeing through Yi Junline's cultivation, the answer is self-evident. At this moment, the atmosphere was strange for no reason. Tong Wudi and the others had complicated expressions, and their hearts were like a storm, as if they saw a god walking down from the altar. Master. Li Wuji stood there like a piece of wood, muttering in disbelief. Hong Chenyi gritted his teeth. How could this happen? From the Holy King to the Immortal King, this is not as simple as regressing from a dragon to a dragon, this is directly becoming a small loach. As a disciple, he felt heartbroken for it, and dared not imagine how broken his master's heart was under his pretending to be strong and calm appearance. You don't need to guess, you know that the master must be in pain at this moment. Almost losing his life's cultivation, who can bear it? Even if he had a similar experience before, if he was asked to repeat it again, his mentality would explode and lose balance on the spot. You know, Hong Chenyi was once a true immortal. Later, he was besieged by various forces in the central region. He almost lost all his cultivation and escaped with his life. Then he met Yi Junline in the eastern region and was accepted as his eldest disciple. That's why a series of things happened later. Therefore, because of the previous experience, Hong Chenyi can understand the pain that Yi Junline has to endure. At this time, under the gaze of various eyes, Yi Junline suddenly had a wonderful feeling in his heart. He suddenly felt that he could continue to maintain the same state, without rushing to restore the cultivation of the Saint King realm, to see what would happen later. Thinking of this, Yi Junline suddenly felt very interesting. What happened to me? At this time, a confused voice sounded. The heroic young man covered in blood gradually woke up from the ruins, his eyes showed a touch of confusion, and then his face twitched in pain and gasped. When he took a closer look, he was stunned in an instant, and couldn't believe that he would be so seriously injured. Strange, wasn't I drinking with fellow Taoist Yi? Who beat me up like this and left me here? Poor Shang Jiba was completely confused and couldn't remember what happened just now. Why was he here and why was he covered in wounds? He had no idea. Surround him, don't let him run away. Someone shouted, and the next second everyone surrounded him, their faces full of murderous intent, their eyes seemed to want to cut Shang Jiba into pieces and grind him to ashes. Shang Jiba, who was surrounded in the middle, was frightened. His mind was full of question marks. Damn, what's going on? Chapter 733 Master, you have us. At this moment, Shang Jiba was like a frightened quail, trembling in fear under the murderous gazes of the crowd. Helpless, fearful, weak, pitiful. At this moment, he was fully embodied. You are the one who harmed Master. I will chop you into minced meat. Li Wuji glared with anger, raised his long knife and was about to chop Shang Jiba. Stop, a stern rebuke. In an instant, Li Wuji paused, and the long knife was only 1 millimeter away from Shang Jiba's forehead. Shang Jiba's scalp was stinging, staring at the sharp blade, almost cross-eyed, and swallowed saliva with difficulty. To be honest, he almost thought he was really going to die just now. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound, with puzzled expressions on their faces. Li Wuji was stunned. Master, why don't you let me kill him? Yi Junline walked straight through the crowd, walked up to him and said, why kill him? Fellow Taoist Shang did nothing wrong, he is innocent. As soon as these words came out, everyone was even more surprised and confused. How can he be right if he hurt you like this? Without allowing everyone to think, Yi Junline continued to add, in fact, behind this is a 9-nether strongman. Fellow Taoist Shang was controlled by him in some special way, so he fought with me, so this matter really has nothing to do with him, he is also a victim. Hearing this, everyone was shocked, and a flash of realization flashed in their eyes. So that's it. After learning the truth, Li Wuji and Hong Chenyi murmured. This explains it. They have fought with Shang Jiba and know that the other party's strength is just like that, and it is impossible to be compared with the master. It turns out that there is someone else behind this. Juyu again. Lu Wangshu gnashed his teeth in hatred. To this day, Kunlun realm has been under the huge shadow of Juyu, how can he not feel hatred? After all, the only hope Lu Wangshu pinned on was Yi Junline, but even Yi Junline was killed by the other party, causing his cultivation to plummet. This made his hatred for Juyu reach its peak. Shang Jiba was not a fool either. Combining Yi Junline's words and everyone's performance, he already knew what happened to him. Fellow Taoist Yi, this is all my fault. I brought the disaster in. Shang Jiba felt guilty and said. Yi Junline pulled him up from the ground, patted his shoulder, and comforted him, it's not your fault. Even if you weren't there, there would be others who would become his puppets. After all, his target is me. As long as he doesn't achieve his goal, he won't give up. Ah, Shang Jiba looked self-blaming and sighed helplessly. Who could have thought that such a thing would happen on the day of reunion after a long separation? Those guys in the Nine Nether Realm really did everything they could. It's so abominable. It's over now, no need to say more. Come here, take fellow Taoist Shang down to heal his wounds, and rest here for the time being. Yi Junlin ordered. Thank you. Shang Jiba felt very uncomfortable. Then, he was helped away. Since there's nothing else, you can all go first. Yes, sir. The senior officials were worried and bowed their hands to leave. They all felt very uneasy about the serious regression of the Lord of Heaven. After all, the glory of heaven today is inevitably related to this man. Once he falls, the strength of heaven will be greatly reduced. Regardless of whether the external enemies will take advantage of the situation, internal strife may also break out. Everything is possible. Lu Wangshu did not leave, but indicated that he wanted to talk to Yi Junlin privately. Yi Junlin waved his hand. If you have anything to say, just say it here. They are all my disciples and family members. In addition, Hong Chenny and Li Wuji were also present. Lu Wangshu glanced at them and knew what was going on. He said in a deep voice, Friend Yi, I will order the news to be blocked regarding your cultivation regression. Don't be discouraged. After all, with your talent, it is only a matter of time before you can cultivate to the Saint King again. I believe that as long as we work together, we can definitely get through this difficult period. The tone was sonorous and powerful. That's right. Hong Chenny and Li Wuji nodded, their faces serious. Yi Junlin had a strange look on his face, and he always had the urge to laugh, but he tried his best to hold it back. He felt that things were getting more and more interesting, and he didn't know if this was a bad taste. Old Lu, I understand your good intentions. Yi Junlin adjusted his state and said seriously. Well, then I'll leave first. Lu Wangshu bowed his hands and turned to leave. Looking at the receding figure, Hong Chenny said seriously, Senior Lu is still trustworthy. After all, he was a big man who had worked hard in the magic world and reached the top. He knew human nature very well and knew that people's hearts were unpredictable. When a top strong man who controls power suddenly has a serious decline in strength, it will be difficult for him to keep his position. No matter how brilliant his previous achievements were, it would be difficult to convince the public without strength. At this time, there will generally be people with ulterior motives who want to seize power and usurp the throne, or pretend to obey but disobey, taking the opportunity to create divisions within the organization. Lu Wangshu used to be the #1 person in the Immortal Court, but now he is the second in command in the Heavenly Court. According to Hong Chenya's past judgment, this kind of role is the easiest to cause trouble, but through this period of contact and understanding, he knew that Lu Huangshu had no reason to do this. Because the other party has a big structure, they don't care about this kind of power at all, and they only want to revitalize the Kunlun world. Other than that, Ida's all clouds. Therefore, Hong Chenny judged that Lu Wangshu was not a threat. Suddenly, Li Wuji said solemnly, Master, wherever you go from now on, I will go. My disciple will always protect you. Hong Chenny also expressed his stance immediately, with a firm expression, in this heaven, if anyone dares to harm you, we will deal with him as soon as possible. Seeing these two people being so serious, Yi Junlin felt a little relieved. Sure enough, this apprentice was not in vain. Even though he knew that his cultivation level had plummeted, he still firmly protected him without any intention of betrayal. Your kindness is appreciated by Master. At the same time, far away in the Nine Nether Realm, some unknown mysterious space. Sitting on the high bone throne was an extremely strange figure. He was constantly switching between illusion and reality, exuding some kind of ominous aura. Emperor, you thought of what happened today, and the corner of his mouth curled up with a subtle arc. That's right, the mastermind behind Shang Jiba's control. Ida asked him. Emperor Yu's original intention was to either bring Yi Junlin into his camp or get rid of him to avoid future troubles. When Yi Junlin was unwilling to surrender, he was already dead in his eyes. As a result, after the fight started, it was discovered that the opponent's strength greatly exceeded expectations. Although he was also taking action, the power attached to the substitute was too small and was not enough to solve the opponent. In this regard, Emperor Yu had no choice but to take the next step and do the next best thing to weaken Yi Junlin's cultivation. Emperor Yu believed that Yi Junlin, who had become an immortal king, was no longer enough to be a threat to Juyu. Next, the Kunlun realm, which no one can protect, can only become a victim in this game. His mortal enemy wants to take this opportunity to realize his greatest ambition, but it will basically come to nothing. It's ridiculous that a chess piece wants to overturn the world. Now, there's no point in regretting it. At this time, Emperor Yu could already imagine how frightened and regretful Yi Junlin would be when he fell into the realm. This is the price for disobeying him. Chapter 734 Yi Tiandi falls from the altar. Kunlun Realm. Under the calm surface of the heavenly court, there are unknown waves. Even though Lu Wangshu deliberately blocked the news, the fact that the Lord of the Heavenly Court had fallen to the Immortal King realm was still leaked by someone with ulterior motives. When the subordinates of the Heavenly Court learned of this inside story, they felt incredible. In their eyes, the Supreme Lord of the Heavenly Court, the famous Yi Tiandi, actually regressed to the Immortal King realm. They felt a sense of tearing that the gods had fallen from the altar and their faith was shattered. How could a mere immortal king be able to lead the Heavenly Court? Lead the entire Kunlun realm to resist stronger foreign enemies? You know, even a heavenly soldier standing guard at the South Heavenly Gate now is required to be in the Immortal Emperor realm. Immortal King, to put it bluntly, he is not even qualified to enter the Heavenly Court. This is indeed the case. With the rapid development of the Kunlun realm, countless strong men have emerged like a blowout. As the top power, the Heavenly Court is also raising the standards for external recruitment. To become an ordinary heavenly soldier with a regular position, one must now have the cultivation of the Immortal Emperor realm. The so-called Immortal King is no longer good enough. This is why all the subordinates have such a huge reaction to the cultivation of the Lord of Heaven. In fact, it is understandable. After all, heaven is not a mortal country. If you want to win the support of the people, you must master the real power that overrides everything. Otherwise, you are not qualified to continue to serve. Besides, the Immortal King is too weak. Any ordinary heavenly soldier here can kill him with the long halberd in his hand. How can a worm rule a group of dragons? In this case, it is no wonder that many people have other ideas. It is not that they want to murder the former Lord of Heaven, but that they think that the other party is no longer suitable for the position and should retreat behind the scenes, and let a stronger person lead heaven. I respect the Emperor of Heaven. He has led us through difficulties many times. But in this special situation, he should retreat to the second line. It is impossible for an immortal king to lead the heavenly court, right? Yes, it is reasonable to wait until the Emperor of Heaven recovers his cultivation and then take charge of the heavenly court. I don't think this is too much. Gradually, some voices began to appear. They believed that Yi Junlin was not suitable to continue to serve as the Lord of the Heavenly Court. In order to ensure internal stability and better fight against foreign forces, a courageous and experienced strong man should be quickly introduced to sit in this position. But most of the voices were opposed. They believed that Yi Junlin was the only choice for the Lord of the Heavenly Court. Even if his cultivation regressed to the Immortal King, he could cultivate back at the fastest speed. Moreover, the cultivators of Kunlun Realm have adapted to the influence of the contemporary Lord of the Heavenly Court. If he suddenly abdicated at this juncture, it would cause panic and random speculation. In this way, the Heavenly Court seemed calm, but undercurrents were actually surging behind the scenes. Everyone began to have serious differences on this issue. In the elegant pavilion, two figures were sitting and drinking tea, and the incense burner placed next to them was emitting curling smoke, which made people feel relaxed and happy. After the treatment and recuperation in the past period of time, Shang Jiba's injuries have healed, and he looks refreshed and heroic. But at this moment, he was in a heavy mood and had no joy at all. Looking at the silver-haired young man in front of him, with a calm face, drinking by himself, so leisurely and comfortable, Shang Jiba felt incomprehensible. Is this sense of relaxation innate? It has come to this point, can you still be so calm? Shang Jiba originally thought that Yi Junlin was not too out of control because of the presence of a group of subordinates, but it turned out that he thought too much, and he didn't take it seriously at all. Under normal circumstances, falling from the Saint King realm to the Immortal King realm, the mood must be very bad, accompanied by deep uneasiness and extreme anxiety. After all, this is common sense. However, Yi Junlin not only had no negative emotions, but also looked relaxed and indifferent. He drank tea and looked at the scenery leisurely, as if he didn't care about the decline in his cultivation. This made Shang Jiba confused, and he felt that the emperor was not anxious, but the eunuch was anxious. If it were him, he would fall from the Saint King to the Immortal King, and there were so many eyes staring at him in this position. He would definitely feel a huge pressure and almost collapse. How could he have the leisure to drink tea and look at the scenery? This is the real gap between me and fellow Taoist Yi. This mentality is simply a height that I can't reach. Shang Jiba sighed secretly. Even in the face of a big predicament, he can remain calm. This kind of person deserves his success. Admire, admire. But the problem is, I always feel that this is a waste of time. Shouldn't I hurry up to practice and improve my realm? Shang Jiba wanted to ask, but he didn't dare to say more. After all, there was a reason for the incident. It was he who indirectly caused others to become like this. So, the other party didn't speak, and he didn't speak either. He just buried his head in tea silently. Suddenly, a strong breath approached quickly. The surrounding ponds were rippling violently, and a bunch of lotus flowers were shaking wildly. In the sky, a tall and gorgeous figure appeared, with a majestic demeanor of dominating the world. In an instant, the birds dared not sing, and the insects dared not make a sound, as if the whole world was dominated by her. The one who came was the Fuyao Empress. This woman, Shang Jiba's heart almost skipped a beat. He had never seen a woman with such a unique temperament in his life. The kingly aura that the other party brought with him made him feel scared in his heart, and he couldn't help but want to kneel down and surrender. The most important thing is that the other party gave him a very strong feeling. Although they were both in the heavenly saint realm, they were very different from him. It felt like they could easily kill him with just a slight move. They were not on the same level at all. Empress Fuyao stared at Yi Junlin tightly without saying a word. She deliberately released a strong pressure from her body and spread it out. Swish, swish. At this moment, two figures emerged from the void and intercepted in front of the pavilion. They jointly released their own momentum to fight against the terrifying pressure of Empress Fuyao. Boom boom boom. The two groups of powerful momentum collided, and the holy water in the pond was quickly evaporated. The scene was very shocking. The two disciples of Yi Junlin fought against Empress Fuyao. Since that time, Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji have been protecting him in secret, just like the left and right guardians, to prevent those with ulterior motives from harming him. Unexpectedly, the first person to come and exert pressure was the Fuyao Empress who once dominated the Kunlun realm. Faced with the hostile pressure released by the Fuyao Empress, Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji, who were secretly guarding Yi Junlin, immediately appeared to stop this powerful woman. At this moment, Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji gritted their teeth, sweat overflowed from their foreheads, and they felt very tired. After all, the Fuyao Empress was a top-notch heavenly saint, and a super freak who could fight with the ancient saint-level strongmen. How could they be compared with her at this stage? Li Wuji was shocked and angry. Fuyao Empress, what do you mean? It's actually bad for my master at this time. We trusted you so much before. Hong Chenyi sneered. Humph, finally reveal your true face. No matter what, we will not let you hurt your master. Fuyao Empress did not respond, but continued to increase the pressure. Her beautiful face was as cold as ice, her feet stepped on the void, and approached the pavilion step by step. Invisibly, the pressure was increasing crazily. Like an ancient sacred mountain, it pressed down hard on Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji. Damn, they felt unable to resist, and their faces were very ugly. Shang Jiba's scalp was numb. He didn't expect that what he was worried about would happen so soon. The other party was obviously not well-intentioned. Now that the Lord of the Heavenly Court was weak, he was taking the opportunity to force the palace. Looking at the majestic and noble figure that was constantly approaching, Yi Junlin's eyes flashed with a strange color. It turned out to be her. You know, the reason why Yi Junlin continued to maintain this state was to see how many people around him would treat him the same way as before if he was in trouble, or would they change their faces. There is a saying, the peak produces hypocritical support, and the dusk witnesses devout believers. Some people are sincere or false, acting or expressing their true feelings. After he falls from the altar, they will be exposed one by one. It is precisely because of this that Yi Junlin chose to continue hiding and wait and see what would happen. Result: what he never expected was that the first person to put pressure on him was actually his respected senior, Empress Fuyao. Chapter 735. Be open and above board. As Empress Fuyao pressed on step by step, Li Wuji and Hong Chenyi finally couldn't resist the impact of this momentum, and were directly knocked back and hit the two pillars of the pavilion, making muffled groans. The expressions on their faces were both shocked and angry, and they felt that they had obviously underestimated the strength of Empress Fuyao. But there was no way. If the other party insisted on harming Yi Junlin, then they, as disciples, could only fight to the death. Empress Fuyao landed in front of the pavilion with a powerful posture, and didn't take Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji seriously at all. Her cold eyes always stayed on Yi Junlin. Master, you go quickly, we will cover you. Li Wuji's eyes gradually turned blood red, and his body began to emit strands of murderous aura, as if as long as the other party made any unusual movements, he would swing his sword and cut at the first time. Empress Fuyao said expressionlessly, "Get out of the way." "You're dreaming," Hong Chenny said coldly, the flame mark between her eyebrows glowing, and the temperature around her was rising rapidly. The two sides were on the verge of a war, as if a war was about to break out. Yi Junlin seemed to have seen something, and suddenly said, "Don't block her, let her in." Huh, everyone was confused, almost suspecting that they had heard it wrong. But master, just now she. Hong Chenny said anxiously. "I believe that fellow Taoist Fuyao will not harm me. Just now she just wanted to test me, and she had no malice." Yi Junlin said calmly. Hong Chenny and Li Wuji looked at each other, and each of them could see the surprise. "Is this really the case?" Empress Fuyao said coldly. "Your master has spoken, why don't you get out of the way quickly? If I really want to take action, you two will definitely not be able to stop me." The cold voice carried an irresistible domineering aura. Although the words are unpleasant, they are the facts. "You." Hong Chenny and Li Wuji looked grim, and reluctantly made way, only staring at Empress Fuyao. As long as this woman made the slightest unfavorable move, they would decisively take action, even if they had to sacrifice their lives in the end, they would die together. Ignoring the two murderous gazes, Empress Fuyao stepped into the pavilion with her hands behind her back. The powerful aura could make countless people feel ashamed. Who is this woman? She has such a powerful aura. When facing her, I even feel like I am facing my master. Shang Jiba's scalp numbed and his heart pounded wildly. He found that he still underestimated the foundation of Kunlun realm. Now a woman he had never seen before could bring him a huge sense of oppression. It was really a place of geniuses and outstanding people. "Would you like some tea? I'll give you a cup," Yi Junlin said naturally. Empress Fuyao stared at the silver-haired young man, as if repeatedly confirming something, and finally shook her head and said, "You don't have to drink tea. I heard that your cultivation level has regressed, so I came here to check. To be honest, I would rather believe that you are pretending than believe that this is a fact." Empress Fuyao did not take advantage of Yi Junlin's misfortune. She just did that to test his true and false. The result disappointed her very much. This peerless genius who she was optimistic about and had high hopes for actually fell into the enemy's trap, causing his cultivation level to fall from the Saint King realm to the Immortal King realm. Empress Fuyao knew the importance of Yi Junlin very well. Now that he has fallen to this point, it is a dangerous signal to the Heavenly Court and even the Kunlun realm. This is the scene she least wants to see. Yi Junlin shrugged. "No way, who could have expected that guy to do this? Oh, by the way, at the beginning he tried to win me over, asking me to pollute the star core of Kunlun realm and go to Juyu. He would protect me. I didn't agree, that's why the following happened." At first he thought that Empress Fuyao was coming to force the palace, but later he realized that there was no need for the other party to do so, so he let her in. "What?" When Empress Fuyao heard this, her face suddenly changed, her eyes burst out with a cold sword-like light, tearing the void. This approach was too familiar to her, because Luan, one of the four ancient Kunlun masters, did this. I still remember that when the star core was polluted, she, Ditian and Cheng Shengwang were shocked and angry, and immediately launched a big hunt for Luan. On the way, they were ambushed by many giants in Juyu realm, which led to tragedies one by one. Now, Juyu wanted to repeat his old tricks and harm Kunlun realm, which made Fuyao Empress, who was once a victim, extremely angry. There is such a thing. Shang Jiba and the others were shocked. "Fellow Taoist Yi, on behalf of the people of the world, I thank you for your decision." Empress Fuyao tried her best to calm down, and her eyes became very different when she looked at Yi Junlin. In any case, the other party was attacked because of Kunlun realm. Compared with that greedy traitor, this one is simply a man of iron and his character is beyond doubt. She deserves her deep admiration. Yi Junlin said. "Fellow Taoist Fuyao, you are too serious. I am not as great as you say." Empress Fuyao smiled bitterly. The more Yi Junlin was like this, the more she felt sorry. "Fellow Taoist Yi, now that things have come to this, what are your plans next? I don't think you seem to be in a hurry at all." Looking at the silver-haired young man who was still leisurely drinking tea, a strange look flashed in Fuyao Empress' eyes. To be honest, even if she encountered such a situation, she would not be able to remain so calm and composed. Even if her Tao heart did not collapse, she would still practice in seclusion and improve her cultivation as much as possible. Instead of acting like a normal person here, could it be that this former monster has been completely destroyed by the blow? Thinking of this, Empress Fuyao felt a little heavy. Yi Junlin looked indifferent. It's like this anyway, what's the use of worrying anymore? It's better to sit down, drink tea and look at the scenery. A good attitude is the most important thing. Empress Fuyao was speechless. What's the difference between this approach and sitting back and waiting for death? She can't understand it. Okay, I respect fellow Taoist Yi's choice, but the situation is pressing. Now there are public disputes within Heavenly Court. This is not a good phenomenon. I think it is necessary to take measures. Empress Fuyao said in a calm tone. From the conversation just now, she already thought that Yi Junlin was going to be ruined. In this case, the heavens should be handed over to the strongest person to take the lead, and it must not fall down. What do you mean? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Fellow Taoist Yi, I have no ill intentions. You can continue to be the Lord of Heaven, but the actual power must be controlled by me. I can lead heaven. When you recover one day and surpass me, I will return the power to you. What do you think? Empress Fuyao's eyes were burning and she said seriously. Although Yi Junlin's current cultivation level is low and she can kill him instantly with just one look, it is absolutely impossible for her to do this. The reason why she said these words is that she really wants to stand up and stabilize the overall situation, and she has no selfish desires. Haha, you just want to find a good excuse. Li Wuji spoke outright and directly broke the problem. Empress Fuyao was unmoved. She has always been upright and honest, and there is no need for such tricks. Xiao Li, shut up. Yi Junlin scolded sternly. The latter was so frightened that he became silent. Looking at this gorgeous and majestic woman in front of him, Yi Junlin's eyes flickered, and he already knew it. He believed that Empress Fuyao was telling the truth. What's more, as long as he is willing, he can restore his cultivation to the Holy King realm at any time and reach the top again as quickly as possible. The reason why he does this is just to have some fun. Since the other party has the heart to take charge of the overall situation, why not give him this opportunity? He just happens to be able to continue to sit behind the scenes and continue fishing. Okay, I will leave the heavenly court to you later. I will tell old Lu to announce this news to the public. Yi Junlin smiled. Thank you for your trust. Empress Fuyao nodded. Then, under the hostile gazes of Li Wuji and Hong Chenny, it turned into a gorgeous rainbow light and left the pavilion. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 by 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 736. Everlasting Friendship. One day, I will use my strength to wash away today's shame. Hong Chenny clenched her fists, her eyes flashing with determination. The sense of oppression that Empress Fuyao brought to him was too strong, especially when she looked like she didn't take him seriously at all, which hit Hong Chenny, who had a strong self-esteem. This made him secretly swear that he must become stronger and not be as embarrassed as he was today. Well, Shang Jiba realized in hindsight and said tentatively, could that woman just now be Empress Fuyao, one of the four wonders of Kunlun in ancient times? Yi Junlin glanced at him sideways. You just know. Hiss. Shang Jiba took a deep breath. The expression on his face was very exciting. Knowing the history of the ancient Kunlun world, he naturally knew the origin of Empress Fuyao. That was a strong man who was in the same era as his master. The most shocking thing is that he clearly heard that Empress Fuyao fought with the giants of Juyu in the starry sky and died in the end. However, after many years, this legendary figure was miraculously resurrected. Shang Jiba breathed rapidly and felt that the trip was really worth it. No wonder he could feel an unusual temperament in this woman. She turned out to be the legendary empress who dominated the Kunlun world. Soon, the news about Empress Fuyao's private meeting with the Lord of Heaven spread like wildfire and quickly spread within heaven. After all, this is a sensitive period, and Empress Fuyao's actions have made many people suspicious. There are even rumors claiming that Empress Fuyao and two apprentices of the Lord of Heaven had a conflict, and the two apprentices were suspected of losing. You know, even if the cultivation level of the Master of Heaven has plummeted, his two disciples are still loyal. The most important thing is that they are extremely strong and at the top of heaven. They protect him like the guardians on the left and right. That's why no one dares to make mistakes. However, Empress Fuyao actually defeated the two apprentices of the Lord of Heaven, which made many strong men feel that the situation was not good, and smelled a hint of forcing the emperor into the palace. No wonder they feel this way, because it's hard not to make people suspicious. There is a saying that apart from the Emperor of Heaven in his heyday, Empress Fuyao is undoubtedly the strongest. If she wants to harm the Emperor of Heaven at this stage, it will be easy. Yes, not even his two most powerful disciples can do anything to Empress Fuyao. The outcome of this battle is already obvious. If you don't have strength, you won't be able to sit firmly in your seat. It's understandable to have your authority challenged. I just hope that Empress Fuyao won't hurt the Emperor of Heaven. After all, the Emperor of Heaven has turned the tide many times and protected the Kunlun realm, so he deserves some respect. You're right, the Emperor of Heaven is still the Emperor of Heaven in our hearts. Anyone who hurts him is our enemy. There was a lot of discussion in heaven, but the attitude was unanimous. More and more people believe that when things have reached this point, it will be difficult for Yi Junlin to secure his position as the Lord of Heaven, and it is very possible for him to abdicate. In this regard, they felt regretful and helpless. After all, the Lord of Heaven was a symbol of supreme strength, and it really should not be held by a small immortal king. It happened that Empress Fuyao appeared. She was one of the 4 wonders of ancient Kunlun. In addition, she had single-handedly defeated the super fleet of the Liang civilization a while ago. Her performance was obvious to all the monks in the Kunlun world. No matter in terms of prestige or strength, he is an excellent candidate qualified to lead the heaven. Therefore, Empress Fuyao is likely to become the new Lord of Heaven, but they do not accept that the previous Lord of Heaven will be harmed because of this, and hope that this power can be transferred peacefully. Just when this matter was making a fuss, Lu Wangshu, the second in command in heaven, held the holy oracle and announced it to the world. Heaven above, the Lord of Heaven declares that fellow Taoist Fuyao will serve as the acting Lord of Heaven, taking charge of heaven and presiding over the overall situation. As soon as these words came out, instantly caused an uproar in heaven. Everyone realized that the former Emperor of Heaven was forced to give in. After falling from the altar, he was unable to maintain the behemoth of heaven, so he had to give up this power. It is said that he is acting as the Lord of Heaven, but in fact he is no different from the real Lord of Heaven. Hey, this may be the best outcome. At least it will save some dignity. Tong Wudi sighed. In the past, he always wanted to defeat Yi Junlin and regain his former position. Now that Yi Junlin's cultivation level has fallen to the Immortal King, what will he do even if he gets his wish? Seeing the other party walking down the altar and leaving the stage sadly, to be honest, Tong Wudi was not happy at all, only a little sad. What a trick of fate, Bu Qinfen sighed. As a strong man in the Immortal Court, he witnessed Yi Junlin step by step to create various miracles, and then founded the Heavenly Court and took this position. He did not expect that he would end up in this situation sadly. Even he felt extremely sorry for Yi Junlin. Kunlun realm has returned to the era of Empress Fuyao again. I think this is good. If it were anyone else, I might not be convinced, but if Empress Fuyao says it, I am convinced. As long as it can lead Heavenly Court and even Kunlun realm to prosperity, I will support it. Some voices of approval began to sound, and they even regarded Empress Fuyao as the new Lord of Heaven. Countless monks in the 5 realms are heartbroken and find it difficult to accept this fact. In their eyes, Emperor Yi Tian was the number 1 in the world and the idol they most admired. Unexpectedly, he was assassinated and his cultivation plummeted. I heard that Emperor Yi Tian only has the Immortal King realm, so is he still qualified to be called the Emperor of Heaven? A stunned Qing asked in the tavern. As soon as he finished speaking, he was looked at by people around him with unfriendly eyes, which frightened him so much that his hair stood on end and his back felt cold. Remember, there is only one heavenly emperor in Kunlun realm, and that is Yi Tiandi. No matter what he becomes, we will always love him. A tall man slammed the table and shouted. That's right, everyone echoed, their eyes full of determination. Even a god who came down the mountain deserves respect. After reading the oracle, Lu Wangshu returned to the attic with a complicated expression. Seeing the silver-haired young man leaning comfortably on the recliner, the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch. At first, he thought that Yi Junlin had a good mentality, and he would practice hard later and aspire to return to the peak. However, he thought too much. He didn't even think about improving his cultivation, but just played badly. This made Lu Wangshu look forward to it in vain, and suddenly felt that it was absolutely right for the Fuyao Empress to take over this position. Old Lu, you've been quite busy lately. As Yi Junlin spoke, he opened his mouth, and Hong Chenyi took a blood grape and fed it to him personally. Who would have thought that the strongest demon supreme standing in this era would feed grapes to another man in private? If this scene were to spread, it would cause a sensation. Seeing Yi Junlin's comfortable look, Lu Wangshu looked depressed and said unhappily, Yes, I not only have to hurry up to improve the formation of the Heavenly Court, but also have to deal with various official affairs during this period. I really don't have a comfortable life like you. Since the storm of the attack, Lu Wangshu's sense of crisis has deepened. After all, the Heavenly Court lost a Saint King level combat power, and it must be compensated as much as possible from other places. So, he frantically improved the formation of the Heavenly Court. After unremitting efforts, the Heavenly Court has now been transformed by him into a more powerful war fortress, with enough strength to pose a fatal threat to the ancient saints. You were right, Yi Junlin said seriously. Lu Wangshu seemed to be choked, and didn't know how to respond for a moment. Is it really okay to be so frank? Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 737, Go Yi protects you. After a few seconds, Lu Wangshu took a deep breath and changed the subject. Friend Yi, you did a good job in arranging Empress Fuyao to serve as the acting Lord of Heaven. He was also worried at the beginning, fearing that internal fighting would break out, which he did not want to see. Fortunately, this problem was finally solved. Besides, Empress Fuyao would not take advantage of others' misfortunes, she just wanted to come out to preside over the overall situation. Compared with Yi Junlin, who was casual and liked to play badly, Empress Fuyao was smart and capable, and was more suitable to serve as the Lord of Heaven. It was just because Yi Junlin's influence was too great. If he abdicated forcibly, it would easily cause unrest in the Kunlun world. Therefore, using the acting position was very clever. Well, to some extent, fellow Taoist Fuyao is actually more suitable than me. Yi Junlin nodded. Hong Chenyi pursed his lips on the side, somewhat dissatisfied with this statement, but due to the occasion, he did not say anything, just quietly peeled the blood grapes and continued to feed Yi Junlin. You are quite open-minded. Lu Wangshu smiled. Think about it carefully. If a person can still not be blinded by resentment and jealousy after experiencing great ups and downs, this mentality is already very good. Just let it go. You protected the Heavenly Court in the front, and the Heavenly Court will protect you in the back. As the thought turned, Lu Wangshu felt relieved. Then, in the following days, acquaintances who visited Yi Junlin one after another were all familiar faces in the past. Each of them is now a well-known existence, a high-end or even top combat force in this world. After hearing the news, they did not add insult to injury or avoid it, but all came to visit. This is to show an attitude to the outside world. Even if Yi Tiandi falls from the altar, he is still not to be offended. All the cultivators in the world know it well, and they know that there are a group of the strongest people in the world behind that man. Hey, fellow Taoist Yi, I'm here to see you. On this day, an old man wearing a dark yellow Taoist robe, who looked like a dog, ran to the attic where Yi Junlin lived with a sly smile on his face. Yi Junlin glanced at him and said, Dog, are you here to show off to me? After all, everyone knows that the Fuyao Empress is the new Lord of Heaven and has all the power. Then, as her follower, Go Buli will naturally prosper together and his status will rise. Go Buli now walks with the wind. Because of the Fuyao Empress, he has regained his glory in the past, and his influence is even greater than before. He is truly under one person and above 10,000 people. Go Buli felt so happy in his heart. During this period, many powerful people came to visit him, and those who were higher than him lowered their posture in front of him. After all, everyone knows that his relationship with the Fuyao Empress is very helpful in the future if he pleases her now. During this period, Go Buli was very proud and enjoyed unlimited scenery. But he did not forget his old friend, so he declined many guests who wanted to visit him and came to see Yi Junlin on his own. Although there were many rumors outside, saying that Empress Fuyao used force to force Emperor Yi Tian to make concessions, Go Buli knew very well that it was definitely not as tense as the rumors said. He also secretly contacted Lu Wangshu to understand the situation in advance and come here after confirmation to avoid embarrassment when meeting. At this moment, hearing Yi Junlin say this, Go Buli was not angry at all, and pretended to be stern and said, Humph, I came to see you on purpose. Yi Junlin teased. With your current status, you are really condescending to come to see me in person. Go Buli heard the teasing in the words and said unhappily, That's enough. I came here to tell you that if you have any trouble in the future, I can plead with the Empress on your behalf. This is my promise to you. The voice was firm and full of sincerity. Ever since Yi Junlin helped him protect the Tengu clan, Go Buli knew that this favor must be repaid. Yi Junlin looked at him for a while and smiled, "Thank you." Although he couldn't use it, the friendship was real. At this moment, a dazzling huge pillar of light rose from the heavens, accompanied by a majestic breath as vast as the sea. This breath, the Empress has broken through. Go Buli was very familiar with this and shouted in surprise. The pillar of light gradually disappeared, revealing the figure of the Fuyao Empress. The Fuyao Empress not only broke through to the ancient saint realm, but the most important thing was that she took advantage of the situation to condense an extremely rare imperial holy intention. This is a more powerful kind of holy intention than the king-level holy intention. The holy intention is divided into the scholar-level holy intention, the king-level holy intention, the emperor-level holy intention, the noble-level holy intention, and the emperor-level holy intention, which no one has succeeded in so far, the emperor-level holy intention. To break through the Saint-King realm, one must first condense the King-grade Saint will, which is a major threshold for the ancient saint to enter the Saint-King realm. Most Saint Kings only stay at the King-grade Saint will and are basically unable to reach a higher level. Therefore, Empress Fuyao can condense the Imperial grade Saint will at this level, which is unique in the ancient Saint realm. When all the Saint Kings see this, they will be ashamed. The most terrifying thing is that this is just the starting stage. Witnessing this scene, Shang Jiba's scalp tingled, and he truly felt the value of being able to become a saint in ancient times. You know, even his master, who is at the Saint Ancestor realm, is only mastering the Imperial grade Saint will and is working hard to transform into the Supreme grade Saint will, but he has achieved this achievement in the ancient Saint realm. This qualification and potential are so terrifying. Damn, looking at the supreme attitude of the Fuyao Empress, Hong Chenny gritted his teeth, feeling very unwilling. He had just broken through to the Heavenly Saint a few days ago, thinking that he had narrowed the gap with the opponent, but not long after, the opponent threw him away. This taste is really unpleasant. Congratulations to the Empress on her breakthrough. The heavenly court was shaken, and respectful voices rang out one after another. In an instant, many cultivators were impressed by the Fuyao Empress and recognized her identity even more. Go Buli suppressed his excitement, and his confidence became more and more full. He coughed a few times at Yi Junlin pretending to be calm, and waved his hand and said, "From now on, Master Go will protect you." Seeing this scene, Yi Junlin showed a look of contempt. This guy really played the role of a dog relying on the power of others to the fullest. "No, what's that look?" Go Buli was startled, then suddenly said, "Oh, I see, you are envious." Yi Junlin, "Haha, as long as you are happy." He had no doubts about the ability of Empress Fuyao. Those who could become saints in ancient times were all terrifying freaks and could not be viewed from the perspective of the modern world. If there had not been that accident, Yi Junlin felt that Empress Fuyao was at least a top-level strongman in the realm of Saint Ancestor. Chapter 738 You have come to this day. Not a moment. Empress Fuyao officially ascended the throne in heaven and sat on the throne of the Lord of Heaven. "I'll wait to see the Empress." The assembled monks from heaven bowed their hands and paid homage. The respectful voice echoed between heaven and earth like a roaring mountain in a tsunami. "I am Empress Fuyao, the modern ruler of the heavenly court. I am in charge of the heavenly court and in charge of the overall situation." A cool and melodious voice sounded with a majestic tone. Empress Fuyao was sitting at the top, her sharp phoenix eyes looking down at all living beings calmly and indifferently. Invisibly, people feel a sense of oppression. Tong Wudi and the others' hearts were trembling, and they couldn't resist at all in front of this woman. Lu Wangshu, who was standing at the front of the team, suddenly felt a little dazed when he saw this scene, as if he was going back to that distant era. He was also looking at Empress Fuyao like this. At that time, he was still the Supreme Formation Master, recognized as the #1 formation mage in all the worlds. After all the vicissitudes and changes over the years, I have mixed feelings when I think about it carefully. When everyone heard these words, their eyes flashed with strange light, and they all understood it tacitly. Especially Yin Emperor, secretly said in his heart, "It's just a fig leaf. Anyway, now that Yi is out, you can sit in this seat as long as you want." It is said that he is acting as the Lord of Heaven, which is actually the same as the truth. "What do you want to say?" Empress Fuyao said calmly. As soon as these words came out, one after another, heavenly officials came forward to start a memorial, all about some matters that had been accumulated recently. It is worth noting that in the past, they were collectively referred to as immortal officials. Later, as the number of semi-saints increased, now all officials are collectively referred to as Tianguan, and they are also divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. Empress Fuyao is indeed the ancient ruler of the Kunlun realm. She has rich experience in this area, has clear ideas, and handles problems in an orderly manner. All the questions raised by the heavenly officials were solved by her with ease. Her professional level was much better than that of a parallel importer. During the process, people nodded from time to time, impressed by Empress Fuyao's words. Look, this is called professionalism. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Wangshu's face, and he felt relieved. Thinking of a certain unreliable guy, he suddenly felt a little disgusted. When Yi Junlin was in power, he basically solved everything on his behalf, but he was extremely busy. Now that Empress Fuyao is in power, the level gap between the two parties is clear at a glance. Because there were many problems, big and small, it took Empress Fuyao half a day to deal with them. After resigning from the court, everyone was talking privately, feeling that the newly succeeded Lord of Heaven was much more professional than the previous one. Who said this Empress is bad? This Empress is simply amazing. In the following days, Yi Junlin continued to show off and live a happy and carefree life. Since he often did not appear in the public eye, the name Yi Tiandi gradually became a thing of the past, and the most discussed one was Empress Fuyao. At the same time, the inside story about the change of ownership of Heavenly Court was also learned by some outside monks who visited Kunlun Realm. After all, this is no longer a secret in Kunlun Realm. Everyone knows that Emperor Yi Tian was plotted by the powerful Juyu, and his cultivation level plummeted, and he was unable to recover. This is also the reason why someone should be replaced as the Lord of Heaven. After learning the news, the monks outside the territory quickly passed on the news. Boom! Countless creatures were shocked and couldn't believe this was true. After all, Emperor Yi Tian has achieved various brilliant achievements since he was born. He can be said to be invincible and is known as a super genius who is qualified to be among the top 10 on the supreme list. It is precisely because of him that Heavenly Court attracts much attention and is famous far and wide. Result: that Emperor Yi Tian who was gaining momentum was actually rumored to have fallen to the Immortal King realm. The most important thing is that this was confirmed to be a plot by a powerful person from the 9 Netherworld. Which Juyu strongman took action? Can he do this? I haven't received any news from the Divine Court. Could it be that a strong person from the Saint Ancestor realm intervened? That's not right. If he is a powerful person in the Saint Ancestor realm, the human surnamed Yi is not as simple as having his cultivation damaged. In this regard, this matter caused an uproar in the starry sky. Everyone was surprised that Juyu could do this without Shenting noticing. Regarding Yi Junlin's fate, some people ridiculed him, some felt sorry for him, and some expressed sympathy. There was an immediate sensation on Juyu's side. Many monks gloated and felt a bad breath. You really deserve it. You have to pay a price for offending our Juyu. An undead vampire said excitedly. It's a pity that the human race is not dead. If this son is not eliminated, it will become a big problem. What are you afraid of? Now that his cultivation has fallen to the level of the Immortal King, he has even been robbed of his position as the Lord of Heaven. It is probably more uncomfortable than death now. Ha 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 eh. Countless jeers rang out. Many Juyu monks maliciously speculated that after this blow, Yi Junlin would definitely fall into despair. The top leaders of the 10 clans were all shocked and confused, and the chiefs of the major clans were very confused. What's going on? Have we Juyu done such a thing? Luo Wuliang, the leader of the Asura clan, had a look of surprise and uncertainty on his face. As the top decision-maker of the 10 clans, he had no idea about this kind of thing. As a result, Kunlun Realm claimed that Juyu did it. Is this true or false? Luo Wuliang even suspected that this was false news deliberately leaked by Heavenly Court in order to confuse the various tribes of Juyu. In this regard, he did not dare to act rashly and planned to wait and see. Black and White Realm, Cao family. In the forbidden area, a thin and weak white-haired old man was listless and had no previous majesty. Looking at the charming woman sitting cross-legged, his turbid eyes showed a hint of flattery. Immortal Peach Blossom, how are you? The woman opened her fox eyes, her eyes were shining, and she exuded the terrifying aura of the Saint King realm. This person is Bo Chengli. After this period of unremitting exploitation, she first successfully condensed the King-grade Saint Will, and then successfully broke through from the ancient saint to the Saint King. Looking at this old thing that has lost its value, Bo Chengli's eyes flashed with disgust. You, tell me, what major events have happened recently? She ordered. The ancestor of the Cao family has completely fallen, and explained everything clearly. What? Emperor Yi Tian was ambushed and his cultivation fell to the Immortal King realm. Bo Chengli was shocked when he learned this. Then, she laughed recklessly, her laughter full of gloating. Under the astonished gaze of the Cao family ancestor, the revealingly dressed and charming woman laughed so hard that her body shook, as if she had heard a great joyful event. Emperor Yi Tian, you have come to this day. Chapter 739. The Lord of the Divine Court breaks through the defense. Bo Chengli was happy, completely happy. Yi Junlin has always been her most hated enemy. All the hardships she has suffered in the past are inseparable from him. Therefore, Bo Chengli has always worked hard, even if he did not hesitate to distort his orientation. From a cynical, ruthless scumbag to a scumbag who only seduces men and crazily extracts essence, behind this huge change, it's indescribable sadness and helplessness. Under this situation, Bo Chengli fantasized about revenge countless times, but it turned out that her enemy Yi Junlin was reported to have plummeted in cultivation and was unable to recover. You blew yourself up before I even took action. After Bo Chengli was shocked, endless joy filled her heart, making every pore in her body relax. After all, now she is a holy king, but the other party is a weak immortal king. Wouldn't it be easy for her to take revenge? Wait, maybe there's a scam. Suddenly, a thought flashed across his mind. Bo Chengli's smile gradually disappeared, and his eyes flashed with vigilance. Through past painful experiences, she instinctively felt that things were not that simple. Would that man really sink to that point? No way. Yi Junlin's performance at that time was too invincible. Even in adversity, he could easily come back, as if his cultivation had no limit, and it was impossible to figure out where the limit was. This caused Bo Chengli, who had fallen into trouble before, to have a big psychological shadow on Yi Junlin. She didn't let it get to her head and began to question the veracity of the rumors. Peach Blossom Immortal, you. The ancestor of the Cao family was a little confused. In his eyes, this charming woman first laughed happily, and then fell into silence with a gloomy face. The contrast between the before and after made him confused. Old guy, stop barking. Bo Chengli adjusted his mood and looked at the old man coldly, his disgust almost palpable. She was able to successfully break through the Holy King, and the ancestors of the Cao family were indispensable, but she also sacrificed a lot. After all, who likes to work with such an old thing who is half buried in the ground? If you think about the process carefully, it is indeed disgusting. Okay. The ancestor of the Cao family, who looked weak in kidneys, was reluctant to talk back. At this time, he was just an old licking dog, obeying the goddess's orders. Bo Chengli cast his gaze outside, his fox eyes showing a meaningful look. I remember that there are several other holy kings in this world, right? Yes, they are 2 boys and 1 girl. The ancestor of the Cao family said matter-of-factly. Oh, then keep the man and kill the woman. She is of no use to me anyway, haha. Bo Chengli sneered. With the characteristics of her skills, it is not difficult to conquer the male holy king, but if it is a female holy king, then her skills will be ineffective. Therefore, in order to avoid backstabbing, it is most reasonable to kill him. I will take the immortal over right now. The ancestor of the Cao family immediately expressed his stance. He didn't know that a catastrophe that would overturn most of the starry sky would completely erupt from the world of black and white. The initiator was the charming woman in front of him. Lead the way, Bo Chengli ordered. To be cautious, she did not plan to go to Kunlun realm to seek revenge on Yi Junlin, but chose a safer way. Let us improve our cultivation as much as possible first. In a mysterious chaotic space. This is the place where the Lord of the Divine Court is rumored to have met with many world leaders, and it is also the seat of the Divine Court. But the threshold for entry is extremely high, and the requirement must be to reach the Saint Ancestor realm. Otherwise, if you enter the chaotic space without authorization, you will be torn apart by the power of chaos here. Therefore, few living beings can see with their own eyes what the Lord of the Divine Court looks like. Generally, the Lord of the Divine Court conveys orders, and the people below will strictly implement them. Now, at the end of the Divine Court, there stood a majestic figure with his back to all sentient beings and an aura that transcended the world. Just by looking at his back, you can tell he is terrifyingly strong. He is the ruler of the Divine Court world, the master of the Divine Court with the ultimate cultivation level. The Lord of the Divine Court had a very special Taoist name at first, named Chaos. Later, he proclaimed himself the Emperor of Heaven and was known as the Emperor of Chaos. This is also the reason why the word Emperor of Heaven is considered taboo in the universe, because this title has been occupied by the Lord of the Divine Court, and no living being dares to use it to avoid suspicion, otherwise it will lead to death. The fatal disaster here is not necessarily caused by the Lord of the Divine Court. It may also be that the cause and effect is too great, and he will be backlashed one day and die in an accident. It is precisely because of this that when Yi Junlin claimed to be the Emperor of Heaven, countless creatures in the universe reacted so fiercely. They all felt that Yi Junlin was seeking death and dared to offend the Supreme Lord of the Divine Court. After hearing the news reported by his subordinates, the Chaos Heavenly Emperor released a terrifying aura from his body, and the entire Divine Court with a stable structure was shaking like an earthquake. Emperor of Heaven, calm down. The subordinate was an old-looking Tianu, with a little red eyebrows. He was dressed in spotless white robes and held a whisk in his hand. In the Divine Court, there are only a handful of heavenly slaves with extremely high status, and each of them is in the realm of the Holy Ancestor. They were trained by the Lord of the Divine Court and were directly ordered by the Lord of the Divine Court. In a sense, just like the eunuchs around the Emperor, they were beings that ministers did not dare to offend. This old Tianu is the oldest and the earliest Tianu who follows the Lord of the Divine Court. He is usually the one who delivers the news. He is a big shot that many world leaders must treat with respect. When Lao Tianu reported the changes in Kunlun realm to Chaos Emperor's first reaction was anger. Facing the anger of this supreme being, Lao Tianu was frightened and knelt on the ground, his hair stood up, trembling, and the fear in his eyes almost came out. He was both afraid and puzzled. Why did the emperor care so much about the Yi family who offended him? Wasn't it a better punishment to be tricked by Juyu and fall in cultivation? You know, when Lao Tianu learned that there was an ant in the world who dared to call himself the Emperor of Heaven, he was very angry and had endless murderous intentions. In today's universe, except for the Honorable Lord of the Divine Court, who else is qualified to call himself the Emperor of Heaven? It's simply courting death. Now that he learned of this news, Lao Tianu was in a good mood and reported it to the being in front of him, but he didn't expect that the reaction would be so great. This strong emotional fluctuation was mixed with resentment, shock, unwillingness, and eagerness. This made Lao Tianu feel incomprehensible while he was panicking. No, why on earth was this happening? Chaos Emperor's eyes were gloomy and full of anger. He looked at the direction of Juyu realm with an ugly face and said coldly, "You Emperor, it must be you who did it." Since Yi Junlin's reputation spread throughout the starry sky, he officially entered his field of vision and became the focus of his attention. The reason why he was so concerned was that he and Yu Emperor were playing a big game, and the two sides had been playing for countless eras. In this big game, Kunlun realm became a crucial decisive point. When Yu Emperor instigated the rebellion of one of the four masters of Kunlun realm, his final expectations were dashed and his plan was seriously damaged. After many years, Kunlun realm was recovering, and this game once again entered an important moment. And the appearance of Yi Junlin became an important chess piece in the eyes of Chaos Emperor. Because of Yi Junlin's existence, Juyu failed many times and his importance was constantly increasing. Originally thought, he had a great advantage this time. As a result, Emperor Yu actually played a dirty trick behind his back and took the opportunity to destroy this important chess piece in his hand. In response, Chaos Emperor was immediately defeated. He was so angry. Chapter 740, Old Enemies. In that case, to ensure that there will be no mistakes in the future, let Kunlun realm be officially taken over by the Divine Court. Chaos Emperor gradually suppressed his inner anger, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. As long as Kunlun realm can smoothly transition to that stage, he can achieve his ultimate goal as he wishes. Kunlun realm must be preserved and must not be destroyed. If it is destroyed again in the process, then all the waiting and expectations will be in vain. He can't bear this consequence. This is why the previous Liang civilization wanted to destroy Kunlun realm in one fell swoop, which caused Chaos Emperor to be furious. How can a fruit that is about to ripen be picked and trampled by outsiders? The old slave said cautiously, "Emperor, what do you mean?" "Pass on this emperor's order. Whoever can enter Kunlun realm first among all the worlds will be qualified to become the young master of the Divine Court, and this emperor will give him the supreme opportunity to challenge the saint of creation." Chaos Emperor pondered. What? Lao Tianu's head almost exploded, his cloudy eyes were wide open, revealing an expression of disbelief. Young master of the Divine Court. The supreme opportunity of the saint of creation. These 2 points combined undoubtedly caused a huge shock to Lao Tianu. You know, there was no such concept as the young master of the Divine Court before, because from ancient times to the present, there has only been one supreme master in the Divine Court, and that is the Chaos Emperor in front of him. Now, there is the saying of the young master of the Divine Court, so does it mean that he will be qualified to succeed the position of the Lord of the Divine Court in the future? The most important thing is that there is still a chance to become the saint of creation. I believe that no strong man can resist this temptation. After all, there are only 2 saints of creation, one is the Lord of the 9 Netherworlds, and the other is the Lord of the Divine Court. The two sides are incompatible, and have been checking and balancing each other for many years. For this level of realm, all the Saint Ancestor Realm Masters feel that it is a long way off, and even feel that there is no hope of breaking through. Because it is rumored that the most difficult point to break through to the Saint of Creation is to raise the Saint Will to the rank of Quasi-Emperor. You know, most of the Saint Ancestor Realm strongmen spent tens of billions of years just staying at the Imperial Grade Saint Will, and even the Supreme Grade Saint Will was difficult to reach. It can be said that the Supreme Grade Saint Will is already the ceiling. As for the Quasi-Emperor Grade Saint Will, it is like an insurmountable natural chasm, which makes countless creatures who are eager to break through the Creation Saint despair. Now, Chaos Emperor dared to promise to train the future young master of the Divine Court into a Creation Saint. This is to choose the successor in advance. The old Tianu felt confused. He was stuck in the Saint Ancestor realm for many years. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want to become a Creation Saint. As if seeing Lao Tianu's thoughts, Chaos Emperor said coldly, "Don't dream. If you want to become a Creation Saint, you must first lay a solid foundation in the Saint King realm, that is, to upgrade the Saint Will to the Imperial grade. Only in this way can there be a glimmer of possibility. Anyone who misses this period is hopeless." The cruel words fell into Lao Tianu's ears, like a series of spring thunders. His body trembled, his cloudy eyes became more dim, and he sighed, "It's really like this. So, only the creatures on the Supreme List are qualified to inherit the throne of this emperor. This is also the fundamental purpose of my publishing this news, hee." The Chaos Emperor smiled meaningfully. A long time ago, he had the idea of training the next Lord of the Divine Court. But the premise is that the plan goes smoothly, because when he truly transcends this universe and goes to a higher level, the mess left behind will have to be cleaned up. As for the young master of the Divine Court, he is the one he wants to focus on training. This is really not a big deal. HMPH, why don't you go? Yes, yes, the old slave bowed and retreated quickly. He could already imagine how big a sensation the entire starry sky would cause. At this moment, Chaos Emperor stood with his hands behind his back, sneering, "Emperor, you don't think I will give up easily. Now is the most critical step. I will never miss this opportunity again." Soon, the universe was shaken. The news swept every corner of the universe like a thunderstorm. What? You can become the young master of the Divine Court by entering the Kunlun realm. And you can also get the help of the Emperor of Heaven, and you may become a saint of creation in the future. Damn, this is a great opportunity. Don't dream, there is only one spot for this kind of thing. I think only the super geniuses on the Supreme List are qualified to compete for it. Dao Yu is right, except for the top 10 geniuses on the Supreme List, others have no chance at all. This is a contest between them. Yes, we are just the audience under the stage. ... Discussions arose everywhere in the starry sky. Many cultivators were surprised. They didn't expect that the Lord of the Divine Court would select a qualified successor at this juncture, and set the location of the competition in the recently controversial Kunlun realm. In fact, I think this is a disguised form of protection for Kunlun realm. A demon creature pondered. That makes sense. In this way, Juyu must think twice before attacking Kunlun realm. It seems that Kunlun realm is very valuable. It is worthy of being the second largest world back then. It is valued so much by the Lord of the Divine Court. The Divine Court just wants to keep Kunlun realm firmly in its hands. After all, if Juyu succeeds, it will lose face. It might as well take advantage of this opportunity to prevent it before it happens. A group of creatures speculated. The situation has developed to this point, and the Saint Agreement of that year has been invalidated. The ownership of Kunlun realm has been related to the face of Shenting and Juyu, so the winner must be decided here. Heaven realm. There is a tall and handsome blonde young man, with a bright golden halo on his head, and a pair of blood-stained wings behind him flapping slowly. His slender figure is suspended above an aerial arena. The crowd of onlookers of the Light Clan were shocked and their pupils were reflected in the invincible figure. Just now, Satu Kong, the eldest son of the Light Clan leader, defeated the strongest genius of the previous Light Clan and replaced him as the third place on the Supreme List. Satu Kong's eyes were cold, and he stared indifferently at the tall figure who was half kneeling on the ground below, with scars all over his body. Once upon a time, the other party was the one he looked up to, but now he is his defeated opponent. As expected of a rare holy body of light in a billion years, the growth rate is simply terrifying. Satu Kong, as you wish, you win. Gong Sun Yang coughed up blood and said weakly. Looking at Satu Kong, Thinking of the scenes of the battle just now, he felt a deep sense of powerlessness and frustration in his heart. This monster is really too strong. His years of hard work are simply a joke in front of the opponent's terrifying qualifications. The elders around couldn't help but sigh, and they felt very sorry for Gong Sun Yang's dethronement, but at the same time they were happy for the newly rising Situ Kong. Gong Sun Yang is a super prodigy of the Light Clan. He has been performing very well since he was a child. He has grown all the way to the Saint King realm, ranked on the supreme list, and is also a son of the heaven realm. What is a son of the world? That is a world recognized as the strongest prodigy of the younger generation. Only such a person is qualified to be called a son of the world. However, Gong Sun Yang, as the son of the world, was defeated by Situ Kong who caught up with him, which also means that his title will be deprived. In fact, Gong Sun Yang is very strong, but the only difference between him and Situ Kong is that he does not have the holy body of light. This is the only difference, and it is also the biggest difference. After all, the holy body of light is too rare. Those who possess this holy body are destined to be the uncrowned king of the Light Clan. It is not shameful to lose to the future king, but as a witness, I will feel a little regretful. Haha, my son is great. Clan leader Situ Tian slapped his thigh and laughed happily. An elder beside him whispered, "Clan leader, restrain yourself, we have to take care of the face of the Gongsun family." On the other side, seeing their own Qilin's son defeated miserably, the strong men of the Gongsun family all looked ugly and trembled with anger. Situ Kong said lightly, "You are not wrong to lose to me. Next, I will replace you, defeat the two strong enemies in front, top the supreme list, and then become the young master of the God Court, and prosper the heaven realm." In his words, there was a great confidence and ambition. Gong Sun Yang said with a complicated expression, "Okay, I'll wait." Then, the monks watching could no longer suppress their excitement and burst into cheers. Everyone's face was full of admiration and their eyes were full of fanaticism. Situ Kong, Situ Kong, Situ Kong, ... The repeated voices kept ringing, boiling like the sea. Situ Kong raised his head, ignoring the cheering monks, and cast his eyes on the vast starry sky, as if he could cross the distant galaxy and see the planet he longed for revenge. Kunlun Realm. His stupid brother Situ Yan died while performing a mission in Kunlun Realm. Through his father's deduction, he learned that the murderer of his brother was Yi Tiandi, who was later the Lord of Heaven. Situ Kong has never forgotten revenge. Now that he has achieved success in his cultivation and defeated the previous Heaven Realm Master, this also means that he is qualified to represent the Heaven Realm and go to Kunlun Realm to ask for an explanation. "Mr. Yi, you and your heavenly court will be destroyed in my hands." A cold voice with infinite murderous intent slowly came out of Situ Kong's mouth. This time, he not only wants to become the young master of the godly court, but also to get rid of his enemies and wash away the shame for the Light Clan. The sky is changing, and the races are boiling. Countless cultivators can see that only the 10 great realms of the godly court are qualified to get involved in this matter, and other worlds do not have the strength to do so. This is like a table full of delicious food, and other people are not even qualified to sit on the table, so how can they grab the food on the table? The great saint ancestors know very well that the young master of the godly court must be selected from the top 10 of the supreme list, because these Tianzhao have the best qualifications and huge potential, unlike them who have passed the best stage and have no hope of breaking through the saint of creation in this life. If our world son can have the honor to serve as the young master of the godly court, how prosperous will the God-Eye clan be in the future? In the upper heaven realm, the patriarch of the God-Eye clan sighed with infinite longing in his eyes. "This will affect the fate of our race, we must go all out," said the leader of another great world in a deep voice. Soon, the top 10 great worlds in the divine court took action and sent out powerful teams to Kunlun Realm. It is worth mentioning that these 10 great worlds are very tacit, and the old generation of Saint Ancestor Realm Masters have not been dispatched. They all tacitly sit behind the scenes to support the realm children who have placed high hopes on them. After all, if even their level fights, it will be an even more terrifying super holy war, which will be a huge consumption for the divine court realm. At that time, all living beings will be devastated and the starry sky will be forever silent. Kunlun Realm. Lu Wangshu was shocked beyond words after hearing the news. What? The Lord of the Divine Court actually issued such an order. Fellow Taoist Lu, congratulations, this way the safety of Kunlun Realm is completely settled, and you don't have to worry about being invaded by Juyu in the future. Wei Wu, the Divine Court envoy, said with a meaningful smile. On the surface, it is a kind of protection of Kunlun Realm by the Divine Court, but in reality it is a disguised occupation. Lu Wangshu's face turned pale and blue, How could he not hear the irony in this? Window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target underscore type. Mix.